call the Board of County Commissioners meeting to order. Today is January the 9th. The time is 9 o'clock a.m. Ms. Kathy, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Sure. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ma'am. Welcome, everyone. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Flower.
Present.
Commissioner Candid.
Here.
Commissioner Prince.
Here.
Attorney Clint Smith.
Present.
And Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper present.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any amendments to the agenda?
I do, sir.
Go ahead, please.
I'd like to add to the agenda a discussion and hopefully approval of a resolution naming January 31st as Ben Rusher Day. As we all know, Ben Rusher, wonderful young man, gave his life trying to save his brother. And I think the county should recognize him for his heroism.
Okay. That'll be under new business?
I would think that's probably an agenda item, I would think. Yeah,
under new
yes,
business.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other amendments to the agenda? Mr. Bill, anything?
No.
Nor do I. Okay, thank you. Audience introductions.
Jackie Bubas for the Sentinel.
Tracy Ballard for the Tribune. Angie Herburn.
Dallas Anderson, Airport Advisory Board.
Ann Barthrup.
Ann Wilson.
There you go.
Kathy Clark, Custer County Kids Council. Kathy Rice, Town of Westcliff.
Dale Mullen.
Jackie Hobby, zoning.
When did that start?
Today.
New year. It's a new year.
Thank you. Welcome. We appreciate you guys being here. If you have not been, I think most of you have, but if you have not been to a board meeting since November, we have agreed as a board to allow public comment on any items that we will be voting on, and that public comment will occur obviously before we vote. So today is going to be a little different because we have a lot of appointments to go through. We certainly would allow public comment on any of the names that we're looking at. I'd be surprised if we have that, but if you feel the need and I don't give you that opportunity because we've got so many of them to do, just flag at me, wave at me, and certainly we will do that. Any other items of business, typically the format would be we will either have some discussion and make a motion, or a motion will be made, then we'll have some discussion, and before we proceed to vote, I will ask for any public comment from the audience, so you will have an opportunity to do that. And that does not exclude the ability to have a conversation. So if it's a question and answer or a response, whatever, we can allow that. Today's going to be a brutal agenda time we get through that, so we're going to try to move right along. But don't think in trying to move the agenda along that I'm trying to preclude anybody from having some public comment. So if I do, it's an oversight on my part. Let's see, approval of the minutes from December the 29th. I believe everybody got a copy of those.
I move we accept the minutes.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to accept the minutes of December the 29th. Discussion.
They look good to me.
Again, thank you, Kelly. I know those are
Well done.
a challenge sometimes.
Thank you.
Hearing no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Sorry, aye. Opposed nay. Motion carries.
But it carried anyway,
Yeah.
Tom. You can leave it that way if you want.
For years, any minutes or meetings I was involved in, the president never got to vote, or the chairman, so it's a little weird. Let the record show the minutes of December 29th have been approved. Commissioner items.
I could just report that I met with Wetmore group yesterday, and we're going to have a monthly meeting on the first the first Friday of each month. I'm just going to go down there just to hear what's going on. Just as a report, the elevator is now functioning properly. The plumber promises to have the men's restroom repaired within the next day or so. They were missing a part. It was installed improperly. The wall that was not put up appropriately is being handled. I don't know the outcome at this point, but the contract has been there, so they're in pretty good shape. And I have someone, I asked Willie Britt, a local, very talented artist, to paint the word Wetmore on their sign down in Wetmore that has all the towns except Wetmore. So
Yeah.
I'm in the
Good
process.
plan.
I'm in the process of doing that.
Good,
So
yeah. That's the big banner in the basement on the
Correct.
east wall.
correct.
Perfect.
So I'll be
Nice.
passing she won't charge a lot, but whatever it is, I told her that we would be willing to pay to do that because I think it's only appropriate. Let's see, I have been involved with a couple other things. I spoke with our county nurse on several issues, and some of them will eventually come before the board. Handling the prisoners at the prison, administering medications and things. I've been very concerned about the liability of a deputy dispensing medications and evaluating inmates when they feel they're not well. I feel we need more professionalism there. So we're working on that. So you'll hear that come forward in the future.
Good.
And that's basically what I've been doing since the first.
Well, let me commend you on your efforts down there at Wetmore. I'm telling you, I've been down there and visited with them on several occasions, and those were some topics that were just bugging them no end, and rightfully so. And that men's restroom was.
It has been an ongoing problem. In fact,
it
I
was a
went to
mess.
hire a private plumber to fix it. And he's the one who really chastised me, saying, absolutely not, you need to get the people who put it in to fix it, it wasn't done right. So thanks to him, and it was Jerry Greenstreet,
Good.
thanks to him,
Well.
we're not going to end up having to pay for a repair that was really under warranty. My concern was, I just wanted to get it fixed.
Oh, man.
Because
Yeah.
there was a terrible odor, but sewer gases were coming back up, as you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll just go
Well,
there. I'll
thank you.
I'll
That
have
was-
breakfast.
That's a great idea. And I'll just throw this out there. I would like for us at some point to consider doing something with the exposed concrete wall that's in front of that building, putting a veneer, rock veneer or something on that at some point. It just does not look good, but
I agree.
other than that,
Yeah, there are a few
I think
minor
we'll be
things
happy.
we're tweaking,
Yeah.
but
Good.
I'll let you.
good, okay. I just want to report to the board that the interview process is continuing on our extension position. We did have another conference call with myself and the other 9 people that are on that committee. And we are scheduled to interview 4 candidates. We've invited 4 candidates to interview in Pueblo on January the 16th. And then those same invitations were extended to come up here to West Cliff on January the 17th to interview for that. So that is by CSU's directive. I don't quite understand it when we're trying to hire an extension agent for our county, but they have instructed Carol Custer and I to invite about 30 people to give us a good cross-section of the community. So I'm not real comfortable with that. I explained that to them on the phone. I said, if this is a community position, basically, why in the world aren't we opening it up at least to the audience for anybody that wants to come? And Bill Noble's the area director for Extension said no, that CSU has changed their mode of operation and now they want a smaller group, cross-section group of the people to sit in on those interviews. So yes, ma'am.
So we had originally put it out that the public was welcome to that, so now we need to retract that?
Well,
or say
yeah,
they-
I was not aware that
Only
that
by
was put out by invitation.
invitation only?
Yeah, I just hate the sound of that. It sounds so arrogant that it just bothers me. Yes, sir.
Do they not have, I'm new to Colorado.
Okay, would you introduce yourself, sir?
My name is Ben Wardlaw. I've been a property owner in this county for 18 years.
Nice.
Um,
Nice to meet you.
Do they not have a sunshine law in this state?
We do, yes. Yeah. And it's, I don't know that that applies in the hiring process. Because a lot of that hiring typically would be done behind closed doors.
Sounds political
Anyway.
to me.
Yeah, well, CSU. It's, and I asked him about that. I challenged him. I said,
Well, HR, those kind of issues usually are not open to the public just because you're discussing people's personal information and those kinds of things. But you can always get it to them anyway. You can petition to get the minutes and you can get it.
So you have to find out about their bad spots after they get
Well,
appointed?
yeah.
well, hopefully that's part of the interview process
Yeah.
that gets to underneath it.
Yeah, I don't want to beat this horse to death, but I do want my fellow commissioners and obviously you guys to understand that things have changed in the hiring process at CSU. And mostly they're driven by the equal opportunity laws and fair labor standards, and it's frustrating that we're hiring an extension position for our county. We should have 200 people sitting in the audience.
Amen.
The other side of that coin, and this is what they brought up to me, was that it's not a public forum, it's not a question and answer period, it's not a meet and greet, and the people in the audience are going to have no input on who we hire or not, other than maybe getting to myself or Carol Custer and saying, this is what we feel after the interview process. But the people being invited will basically be there as an audience. Noble's explained to me that we could accept one or two questions from the audience, but they'd have to be written down and given to their EEOC person prior to the meeting starting so she can vet the questions and make sure they're legal to ask. That's where we're at with.
Well, and every candidate has to be asked
So-
the same kind of questions,
Oh, yeah.
or it's unfair. And so that's another issue. So that they keep
Yeah.
level playing ground that way.
So, I explained you're putting us in a pretty precarious position when you ask 2 or 3 people in the county to start handpicking people to go sit in and observe an interview process. And so I told them I wasn't real comfortable with that, but we'll do whatever you direct us to do, and that's what it was.
Will it be recorded?
I
than
think he
us?
said it would be. I believe in our conference call, he said that would be. So anyway.
One other thing, which and Tom would probably knows this in spades, the way this chain of command is with CSU, they actually belong to CSU and they're allocated to the counties. We pay 2/3 of their salary, whatever it
No,
is.
20%.
20%. They pay the rest, and so they have a vested interest in making sure they have a high quality guy anyway. And so it's great that we've got some input for sure. We wouldn't want to just take somebody that they're assigning to us.
There's several, well, at least 2 of us in this room that sat in on the last interview process when we hired an extension agent. And I think there were 8 or 9 local people and 1 or 2 out-of-town people. Well, now there's 2 local people and 8 out-of-town people on that committee. So things have changed. We're going to have to live with it. But I'd like to move on unless there's another pointed question. Go ahead.
No, I
Okay.
just wanted to ask if press is going to be allowed to be there.
Yes, I wanted to do that while we're on this. I invited Jackie. I would also like to invite you to be there 9 o'clock, Lang Hall,
Okay.
on January the 17th.
Okay.
Also, I have contacted and have a person doing some work finishing up the drywall in the basement around that mop sink. And on January 15th, we're going to start cutting the doorway through the courthouse into the judge's chambers. So that's moving forward. I want to let you know about that. I might have got you 2 gentlemen in trouble. I apologize. I snuck up to the Senior Citizen Center and had lunch. And you know that they said, hey, get those other guys up. I said, I will certainly extend the invitation. It was fun. We enjoyed it, and I think they appreciated having a commissioner there. So That's basically all I have, sir.
Okay, you inspired me to move
Good.
this really quick. Move out of the way, Kelly.
Uh-oh.
You
Careful, we're gonna have a lottery of drawing.
Tom mentioned one thing a minute ago when he said I was the chairman and I'm not used to voting. See, the bottom line is we're all free equal. And so we have to be careful how we get together and get each other into trouble. And so that and it's a different chain of command than a normal hierarchy in a military organization or in a company or whatever. We work for you guys. And the greatest management technique to do that, to do exactly what Tom and Jay have said, is we got to get to know the heart of Custer County, where the issues are and the successes. And you do that by management, by roaming around. So Tom and I just got these brand new cards, and I think, Jay, you've got yours. And so I'm Bill Kenda, District 3. Just glad to
Is that
meet you.
Bull Domingo?
No, it's south end of the valley.
Well, District 3 is Bull Domingo, and he's not in District 3, he's in District 1.
District 3. See, I wanted to make sure
Your
that,
lips are moving.
make sure that
Your
he's
lips are moving.
saying,
You know what
paying
that
attention.
means.
Because he has his card. Does this say District 1?
No, it says first.
There you go. And it's important, you look at us, this is not the commissioner's office. This is the conference room where you all bring your issues forward and we get to public comment and deal with them. We don't have an office here, and there's a good reason for that, because we need to get out, and our office is the county, like Jay was down in Wetmore. And other places, as well as our job is to move up in the county issues to the state level and work with the state issues. Tom mentioned that, CSU, the Extension Office. We also have been involved in, that's my issue for today, is I got involved with Action 22 as the commissioner that inherited that. And I asked Ann to attend to me, because I was on my way back from a vacation that was a Chevy Chase Christmas vacation. We got a flat tire, dog caught on fire, and I can get into all that later, but I didn't have a grandmother on the car. Ann, I don't want to waste any time, but Action 22 is 22 counties in the south end of the state that is a political pact of some sorts that involves the county. And just say a couple words about it, and there were 9 of 22, so there wasn't a quorum there. There's the 3 votes that we have. I'm one of them. Charles Bogle's on it right now, and Steigerwald. So Charles, say a couple things, and then I'll sit down.
I think it's very interesting. It's a political advocacy group for the 22 southern counties. They look at the issues and they prioritize the current ones. They're looking at the Gallagher bill and the redistricting, things like that. So they do have a website, action22.org, if you're interested in looking at it or giving them feedback. My one concern is that you do have large counties in there, like Pueblo and all, and we need to make sure that our voice is still heard as a small rural county. Very interesting, didn't know they existed, but it's a lot full of information.
And their office down in Pueblo, did you or Bill mention that, or?
Yes, their office is in Pueblo.
And so to finish up, this is an exciting time. We're learning. We're all, especially Tom and I. Jay's still on a learning curve. I know a year. It takes. I can't believe all the things we get involved with, and it's important to be involved with those kinds of things. But most especially, get to the heart of the county and understand what you need. And so that our job is to apply the resources. We don't fix roads. We don't build buildings, but we do. Make sure that the team, Kelly, sheriff, the road and bridge guys, the JD and the assessors, the treasurer, etc., are there to apply the resources necessary to make life better for you. That's what you're paying us to do. So, the end. Thanks.
Good, okay. Counselor, do you have any items?
Just briefly, at last meeting I mentioned I hadn't heard back from anybody from Eaton Sale and Service about the fuel dispenser. I did get a call. The gentleman does want to come down and meet with the board. I've put that on the agenda for January 31 at 10:30. Notified Dallas to be here and have Bob Jolly here and anybody else that was involved in those conversations, so you can get all the information you need to make a decision on some sort of a negotiated settlement. just other things I've worked on. Of course, I'm always helping, or Jackie's helping me understand what the law is, but I pretend I'm giving her legal advice. And I helped the sheriff. One of his deputies had an issue in court, and I just gave him some legal advice. Didn't represent him in court or anything, but those are the kinds of things I do for some of the other elected officials and departments. That's all.
All right, sir, thank you, appreciate that. Ms. Brenda, do you have anything administratively?
I don't today.
Okay, thank you for your work in preparing all the materials for this board meeting. I would guess there's probably over 100 letters of intent to try to keep track of on all the board appointments we're going to work on today, so thank you, appreciate that. Mr. Tim Swartz, VSO officer.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir, how are you?
Morning. Good. How you
It's
doing?
good to see you, I'm well.
Morning. Morning.
Hey, Jim.
All right.
Certainly, have a
Morning.
seat.
Morning. This is gonna be really short for you guys. So the only reason I asked you to put it on agenda because I do have my monthly report that needs to be signed that I can send to the state prior to the 15th of the month. So here's the original,
Thank you, sir.
and then the copies for each of you. Okay.
Let me move my junk out of your way, I apologize.
No problem.
Jeepers.
You're fine. You're fine. Yeah, I do. So, did that, so. Anyways, here's the working copy. I'll give you this after
Yeah, that's
your copy. So,
the original.
62 phone calls, 55 office visits for the month of December. December typically, because of holidays and everything else, kind of just a slower month. 3 home visits, and those are the main things on the report. As you go through this report, if you ever have any questions, because as you read it, it'll be a lot of numbers. It's a lot of forms of what's submitted, and the forms translates to whether it was having to do with GI Bill money, a request for disability compensation claims, and those type of things. So, and then on the very last page, I always attach the copy of the report showing that the database is now at 433. Last month's report is at 424, so we've added 9 new veterans into the system.
I don't see those numbers.
No, that's going to be on your copy.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, not on the original.
That's not on the
Okay,
original.
that's
Sorry
fine.
about that.
No problem.
So, and the only other thing to mention probably was due to the state audit of the Veterans Trust Fund, which is being the grant administrators of the VFW, we collaborate with that. No funds were released for the month of December to us. So we did the money came in finally. We did applications yesterday. We had 15 vets come through. Something that was new this year with the Veteran Trust Fund, we got approval and a clarification prior to this year that we can also extend assistance to surviving spouses of veterans now. This is the first year that that's been clarified that we can do that. And we had 4 yesterday come through as part of that 15. So that's great news. So I think we've had 8 so far this year, surviving spouses. So that's going to grow because there are a lot of surviving spouses here, veterans. Yep. So we're getting the word out, and so yes, we had 4 that came in yesterday. So that was great, including one whose husband passed away like 8 years ago. So this is the first time she was eligible for it, and she definitely needs it. So, all right, and that's all I've got for y'all. I just need a signature on that.
Question quickly. On the third page is the, I'll call it salary, 320 up and out. Office space, $108.
Yeah, that's the phone. No, phone's underneath. Office space is for the electric and water. That's combine those two.
Okay.
We put it
It's
on
like
there.
utilities.
It's like utilities. This is the state format that I have to work with, so I have to stick it somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, they provide you this one.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a state form.
And then the signature, I'm assuming then I would need to sign it
Right,
above my
just
name.
right above
It's
your name.
printed in there.
Correct. Correct.
Do it by motion, so I'll move that we approve the Veterans Administration
I'll second it.
report for December 2017.
Thank you. Been moved and seconded to approve the VSO report for December 2017. Any further discussion or questions?
A question, if I can, I'll make it.
Yeah.
I know that you service, and I appreciate you doing it, veterans from outside of Custer County. We don't receive any enumeration. We don't get any payment for that. Is it appropriate for the other counties to compensate Custer County for the work you do for them? Or is that not appropriate?
No, it's understood that the way that the VSO offices are set up by the state, because the state law mandates you have a veteran service officer, and the power of attorney for all VSOs is under the state authority through function. It's not unusual. For years, we had a lot of veterans going down to Pueblo, VSO, so it's not unusual for Pueblo to have people going to El Paso going up to Denver, and if a vet's not happy with one answer, he gets one up, he's going to go somewhere else, okay, to see if he can get a different answer. So I think you find all counties have the same issue.
Thank you.
Our situation is kind of unique because of the Cotopaxi, Texas Creek area. We do pick up quite a few vets from Fremont County because they're naturally more part of this community than they are of Canyon City, Fremont County. So they consider this more their home base anyways.
It's better than the people down there, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
I got a question.
Yes.
Are they ever going to correct that form up there?
I have mentioned that numerous times. They keep telling me they got medical records spelled wrong on the top.
Request for medical
Trust me,
records.
I have mentioned that numerous times. I know. I've mentioned it numerous times. For a long time, when I first started, for over a year and a half, they had my information wrong on the state's website, and it took about a year and a half for that to be corrected.
I think it took 20 years to get the DOT to change the signs coming into Custer County at Westcliff with an E on it.
Yeah. So
Good.
they didn't
Okay,
move.
further
So.
discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed.
Can I
Go
bring
ahead.
one thing real quick? So my wife made me promise to do this. I just want to bring up an issue real quick. If there's any way possible to get the air quality of the annex tested, the reason I bring this up is I'm getting scoped tomorrow. Matter of fact, every winter, this is my third winter, I get this chronic, terrible cough that doesn't go away. I was scoped years ago due to acid reflux. I have a little bit of scar tissue there, so it gets easily agitated anyways. But I've never had the problem I have since I've been working in that building, especially during the winter, where so it's a combination of coughing. But this summer we discovered when the sink was put in that the drains down the basement were open, so I was breathing sewer gas for 2 years over there. And I think that has contributed to part of this problem. I'm getting scoped tomorrow morning, so we're going to see what's going on. But
So there a water trap in that?
they capped it. My understanding is that the plumber capped it off, those drains off, but the sinks that were down there, and there's bathroom and the toilet and the shower were all dried up. And the plumber told me that you've been breathing sewer gas every day for 2 years down there.
Well,
so, anyways, but ever since I started working, I can tell you that my cough is threefold gotten worse.
Well, I hope it didn't affect this report.
No.
That's what we're hoping.
No,
Okay.
no, it didn't. So I apologize for that, but I just realized.
Ms. Brenda, would you make a note of that,
Yeah.
please?
Yep.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Further discussion?
That's all I got.
Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the December VSO report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Report's been accepted. I'll sign this real quick for you.
That's all I got.
Keep up the great work. Sir, thank you so much.
Plugging away.
You check that drain out, keep it full of water.
Yeah, they've been capped down there, so they should be good. So, thank you.
You can have mine. I've got that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't keep it.
Thanks,
No, I don't
appreciate
keep
it.
that through. Finished anyway, I just look at it for the meeting.
Okay, we'll move on to old business. Close out of 2017 business. Anything appropriate that needs our attention? Ms. Kelly, do you have anything? Ms. Brenda?
Nope.
Mr. Bill?
Nothing.
I move that we close out 2017 business as completed.
I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded to close out the 2017 business for the Board of County Commissioners. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Close out the business. Thank you. Resolution 1801 is the intergovernmental agreement with the the Westcliff
Wet Mountain.
Wet Mountain, I'll get it right here in front of me, I don't know why I'm not reading it, Wet Mountain Fire Protection District.
How'd you memorize it?
We had looked at this earlier. I believe our attorney had made a couple of small changes, mostly just verbiage, is that correct?
Right.
Nothing was changed to impact the intent or the design or the direction of the IGA. So I believe we are ready to approve this agenda, or this agreement, I'm sorry.
I'll go ahead and I'll move to adopt Resolution 18-1, an intergovernmental agreement between Custer County and the Wet Mountain Fire Protection District for the lease of space at the Custer County Silver West Airport.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number 18-01, an intergovernmental agreement between Custer County and the Wet Mountain Fire Protection District. Any discussion about that?
This is a wonderful thing, and it's going to be great for the county.
This is where I got to get in the habit of. Yes, comments?
So the fire board has signed off on that?
I don't believe anybody signed this yet. At least they've not signed the copy I have. So we would be the first ones to sign it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I knew they hadn't looked at it in the last meeting.
Well, they hadn't even looked at it.
They won't sign it until they know we did.
They looked at it, and they looked at it before the last
Okay.
time we talked about it.
So they've
the
seen
last
it, they just haven't signed it.
Okay,
And they were okay with it.
good. Go ahead.
Brenda, do you,
Yes, sir.
Brenda, will handwrite in the dates?
Yeah.
That's acceptable. Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Comment from the public? Proceed to vote. All in favor of adopting resolution 1801, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. IGA 18-01 has been adopted. I will sign that. And Ms. Kelly, we'll take it from there. Thank you. Kelly also signs that. IGA as well. New business, Conservation Trust Fund. Mrs. Rice, welcome. Thank you for being here today. Appreciate that.
Thank you for listening to me.
You're entirely welcome.
Okay, we had requested $2,000 out of the Conservation Trust Fund to help with a grant for our tennis courts. Unfortunately, we're not able to apply for the grant. Won't get it this year. We'll have to wait till next year. But we would like to continue get the funds,
Okay.
and we will hold it earmarked for the tennis courts.
Okay. Obviously, well, not obviously, I know you and I have had a conversation, and I thought, if you don't mind, to share with the commission the primary reason that you did not move forward with that grant. I thought that was very interesting.
The
and
bid
well
was
thought out.
$142,000 to tear out and just replace it with one. What we want to do is get the public involved, start having some hearings, and try to get a committee together, because we're going to have to do more fundraising and try to apply for a grant for 2019.
And originally, you thought that project would cost you about,
Not anywhere close to that.
yeah,
We were thinking about $60,000.
way less than half what you were expecting.
But we've heard the public, they want 2 tennis courts. We were trying just to do it with one. So we've got to get them involved. And
Bid involved too.
pardon me?
Was the bid for 2?
It was for 1.
Please.
Yeah, it's a special way to put it in, because we've got some real problems with the concrete over there. It's cracking really bad. We've had to shut one down. And our insurance company told us to shut it down.
Can you get it finished this year?
No, it'll be in 2019.
So you want to hold our funds for 2 years? How do you hold it?
We just put it in the general fund and hold it there until next year. It'll be in our
So-
budget that way.
General fund
Well, actually in our capital fund.
in the towns or the...
Capital fund in the towns.
So are you drawing interest on it?
Yes. Or if you're not comfortable with that, we'll come back in 2019.
Why wouldn't we want to hold it and draw
Well,
the interest
You
and
can.
give the money
No,
to
you can't.
somebody?
You can. And we'll come back in 2019 and ask again, if you're more comfortable with it.
I would be.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
I think it's more appropriate since we allocated the funds to the town that's not using it, that we hold the funds until such time as it's needed. So
We
it
would
makes
like
sense.
to hopefully get a commitment that we would still get it in 2019.
It's difficult to do because of
Right.
the budget.
Got to
but-
play it year by year, but we're 100% behind you. I mean, it's,
Yeah, because it's really a county
Thing to
tennis
have.
court, it's not just a town.
right, it's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was budgeted in 2018, the budget was approved, I'm in favor of giving them the $2,000. Then we don't end up where we possibly could be next year. I wouldn't anticipate that, but it's certainly a possibility. So I would move that we honor our commitment through the budget and provide them with their $2,000. Is there a second?
To do what?
To
What's the
give them
motion?
the $2,000 that was budgeted for them.
I'll second it.
Okay, been moved and seconded to, I guess the correct term would be to transfer that money to the town of West Cliff as was budgeted. Any discussion, any further discussion?
Can I just say something?
Yes, go ahead, I'll get to you in just a second. Sir.
The Conservation Trust Fund monies we have to report on them every year, what they were used for, and they have to be used for some kind of a public space. So if they don't use it, I don't know how we can report
Okay.
on that.
All right,
The only thing, because I was thinking the same thing, Brenda, the only thing is, the way that it's always been done, because the groups that use it aren't necessarily conservation groups,
right.
is, the county actually pays that group to do something conservation-wise. So you would still have to do something in 2018
Yes.
for
To
that
justify the
money,
money.
to justify
What
that
about all the
money.
park maintenance that our crew does on the park? All of our parks, is that justified?
You know, I don't know, and I mean, it probably would be, and I can't remember in the past when you guys have gotten funds, what we've used out, what you've put down on your report.
Well, we have to report it when we do it. So, because when we get it in, it's not going to go in our conservation trust because you can't put it in there. It has to go
Well,
in our
let me
capital.
call just a point of order here, because you're getting into something that we could go do separately, but we did have a motion, and we need to resolve that, I think, call the question on it. And then we can figure out if there's some other thing we want to do, but it's still, in my mind, something that we need to, because it's allocated for that year, for that purpose, we can't do it.
Okay, well, we're still in discussion unless you do
Well-
want to call the question, and if you do,
Well,
then
that's what I
we're
thought we
off.
did, that's why we seconded it, that's the only reason I seconded it was in order to get a vote and have the discussion.
Okay, because you just said you were going to
Yeah.
call a question. If you do,
Yeah.
nobody's going to discuss anything. We'll vote right away.
Right, I understand. Well, that's why I think do you think there's more discussion?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can I make a suggestion?
sure.
That we wait until we find out, Kelly and I with the Conservation Trust, how we can do that?
Let's table it.
I'll
Table
withdraw
it.
my
Yeah,
motion.
I-
No, I'll
I
withdraw
agree.
the motion.
Yeah,
I have no reason
and,
to
you
table
know, we'll come back until we get that worked out and,
Yeah, that's the right way to do it.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. That's a
it.
much
Second
better
withdrawn? Is your second withdrawn?
Second.
Okay. So the motion and second's withdrawn, but we still have an opportunity for public comment. Yes, sir?
I would just like to say that if it's going to be used in 2019, there might be a different commissioner on the board in 2019, so I don't think you should vote for it. Excuse me, allocate funds when you might not, or whoever, I don't know who's running in 2018, because I've only been here about a week. So, but it might be a different makeup in the board next year.
It's actually a budget item, so it would need to be discussed for the 2019 budget. So this board, God forbid a disaster occurs, would be the ones who would be setting the 2019 budget. So I appreciate what you're saying, but
And that's an appropriate comment, and that's a good point. And we do have to be careful because money is tight in this county, and we want to use it. It's going to sit, and it's not, I don't think it's wise use to have it sit in a pot for 2 years.
that's fine.
There you go.
so
Any further discussion, gentlemen?
I like the idea. So you're just going to call and put it back on the agenda when you have
Yeah.
an answer?
Some
We'll
other
get together, Kelly.
option.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Yep.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Next item of business is the holiday calendar for the county.
I'll move that we approve the Resolution 18-2 establishing the holiday calendar for the county for the year of 2018.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 18-02 for the Board of Commissioners of Custer County adopting the 2018 official holidays for the employees of Custer County. Any discussion?
Does the public have all the holidays we're talking about? They're the standard holidays we're discussing. And like Martin Luther King Day, President's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, day after Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, and the day after Christmas, and New Year's Day.
It would be Christmas Day, not the day after Christmas.
I mean, Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Then I looked at New Year's instead.
The only thing, gentlemen, that varies a little is that you will notice New Year's Eve Day is not a holiday on this calendar. Historically, half a day on New Year's Day and half a day on Christmas Eve Day has been observed, but we have combined both of those to make a full day for Christmas Eve Day and then New Year's Day. So, yes, sir.
Just for my own, this is the same number of holidays that we've had in 2017 and 2018?
12.
Okay. I'm fine with it.
Okay, any further discussion? Comments from the public?
I'd just like to say I'm thankful that the Custer County Commission is not changing the name of Columbus Day to something else.
Yeah. Or Christmas.
Amen. Amen to that too. Hey,
Good.
thank you.
Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of adopting Resolution 1802, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. That resolution's been adopted. I will sign that quickly. Well, we're all going to sign that, actually.
We're all guilty, huh? Thank you, sir.
I miss my raise.
You get to sign those.
Next item of business is the BOCC meeting calendar. Again, thank you, Brenda, for your work there. Gentlemen, I think you've had an opportunity to look at that.
I'll go ahead and move that we approve the 2018 BOCC meeting schedule as proposed.
And I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2018 BOCC meeting schedule.
Can we discuss it for a second?
That's what I'm getting ready to do. Ask for
Oh, that's what you're
discussion.
gonna ask. I'm
No,
sorry.
no problem.
Leaping forward.
Go ahead.
Because I'm so excited to try to move one of these meetings. On the 21st, I have a conflict of February. I'd like to move it to that Friday, 3 days over, if that's okay with the calendars.
But, I'm sorry,
I want to slip the 21st to
February?
February the 23rd. I'll be gone with commitment, with family.
And that's down in Wetmore.
I want to discuss the Wetmore thing. That
Okay,
was something
that's
I wanted to
fine.
talk about.
So that might be,
When you're ready.
Brenda, I don't think it would be an issue with them, surely, huh?
I don't think so.
No, they would be fine with that, I'm certain. They're very congenial.
Can we do that by general consensus, or do you feel like we need a motion, Bill?
I think it's to be a consensus.
Okay. I don't have a conflict with that. Moving to the 23rd, that's your request?
Roger.
Friday the 23rd, is that? I'll do it at the same time, Wetmore? Okay. If we're done with that, I'd like to talk about
Okay,
Wetmore.
just a second.
Sure.
Yeah, that's just obviously our mid-month meeting, so.
I have a general question because I'm a new guy. We got 4 meetings a month. Is that something we decided somewhere along the line, or is that a requirement, or how do we get these meetings?
That's just been the custom of meeting 4 times a month. Has to be a meeting on the last day of the month.
That's
for
the
sure.
requirement.
Oh, just to pay all the bills and everything needs to be done on the last day of the month, but this is how they've done it. When I came in, that's 3.5 years ago, that's how they were doing
So,
it.
as we go down the road and things might look better differently, split meetings up differently, we can do that, I guess.
Sure.
Agenda items.
Yeah, I find
Hate to
it-
sit here for hours upon hours.
I find it interesting that with Colorado revised statutes, if you are in a county of, I believe it's 50,000 or more, commissioners are required by law to meet twice a week,
Yeah,
10 months out of the year. July and August, they do not have to meet twice a week, but other than that.
For our size,
See, we gotta be careful on let's watch that economic development here.
and for counties our size, by statute, once a month.
Is that right?
Yeah. So just to comment on what you said, one of the reasons that we have so many is because we have all of the departments reporting to us, so we were breaking it up to make it not last till 6 o'clock, even though some.
Well, I think that's a good thing.
And we actually serve as county managers, so we're kind of double duty. And you had another comment, or?
Well, I just wanted to mention that discussions in Wetmore, and they are okay with this. I mentioned to them that if we do get the live streaming that we've been working on, that we may not have every month a meeting down in Wetmore. Now, I recognize some of the months are in San Isabel. In January, for example, we don't, but the months that we do, we may do it every other month or quarterly, and I would help them, or we'd send our IT folks down to help them set up so they could participate in the meetings from Wetmore without us going down there, and they said they have no issue with that. So we may want to adjust that as time goes on. I just want to mention that they're okay with that.
Got an option anyway. I like the idea of going down there just because we can meet.
Oh, yeah. No, I
Yeah, as I indicated at our November 22nd meeting, I'm not necessarily on the surface in favor of changing our meeting schedule just because of our constraints with live streaming. I think we owe it to those other communities to go down there, but we can certainly address that as time goes on. Because I've talked to people, particularly in Wetmore, that are pretty adamant about we take the time to go down there and meet, and I will struggle if we start using live streaming as an excuse not to go down there. But anyway, we can certainly address that. Thank you for your comments. Any other discussion? I just wanted to make a note, gentlemen, about CCI conferences. The summer conference is June 4th through the 6th, and the winter conference, it's November, it's on here. I've got it on my calendar, but it's not on this.
It didn't conflict with the meetings.
Okay.
Oh, it did?
Did
Did not.
Right. That's why you didn't put it on there,
Right.
Brenda. Thank you. So, yeah, June 4th through the 6th.
It's usually the week, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right after Thanksgiving.
Yes, and I can give you those dates real quick. That'll be in Colorado Springs again.
Wait. Is it Colorado Springs, or is it at Breckenridge
No,
Resort?
summer is in Breckenridge. I'm sorry, I was talking about the winter conference.
I apologize.
Yeah. The winter conference, November 27th and 28th, 26th, 7th, and 8th. in Colorado Springs, and the summer conference June 4th through the 6th in Breckenridge.
Just so you all know, the CCI and the CSTI are the Colorado Counties Incorporated, are one of those things that I mentioned before, out and above us, and it's a wonderful thing for us to learn what's going on with other counties and learn what legally we can and can't do as well. And so, matter of fact, from a new guy point of view, we're going to I'm trying to get down there, and I think Tom's planning to try to do that soon, or at least meet one-on-one with the CCI guys. They'll see us and go through some of the protocols and issues that we weren't able to get it in a conference like this. These are all the counties. How many is it? There was
64 counties altogether, yes.
A huge amount of people.
Yeah. Okay, any further discussion on the calendar? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 2018 BOCC meeting schedule has been approved. Thank you. County appointments. Let's see here. Do you guys have your hard copies? And I ask only because I wonder if we just follow that format, or do you have a list you want to go by, Kelly, or does it matter?
Brenda, did you give them the list? That's what we usually do, is just follow that list.
Yeah.
And,
Is it this one that you're talking about?
This one.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
one.
that's
we,
the
two
internal.
different ones. 'Cause
Yeah,
that
this is
one
the
will be-
internal one.
Right.
Yeah.
Pull that up.
And I
Sorry.
think this one, usually we do, you guys do the chairman, vice chairman, and then they kind of lump
You're right. Okay.
things together instead of making a motion
Do
for
you need
each
a copy
one.
of this?
Which one?
It's the internal appointments.
I had pulled up the wrong one,
Can,
actually.
Brenda,
Sorry.
can you make me a copy of both of those too? Please, thank you.
I believe those were sent out as regional appointments.
Jay, do you need it?
I have one, thank you, ma'am.
That's on.
Not the right one?
No, it came up as regional appointments on your board packet. Yeah. That's it.
So we want to follow this?
Yes.
Okay, so let me,
Can I have a hard copy, please? Apparently I'm having issues getting this up.
let me take a lead job here and
Yeah,
I'm
let's
gonna
wait
do
for
a motion as
Bill
soon as
to
you're
come
ready.
first.
Hang on.
I was gonna say as soon as you're ready.
Only Jackie and I have them as well.
Can I just email them, or do you need
Oh,
them
yeah,
now?
no, that's fine.
I don't need it now, just email me when
Yeah,
they're
email
done.
is fine, thank you.
Whatever it is.
So you all have them? Is that?
They will. They don't now.
A second ago.
You want to open
There it
that
is, I
regional?
got it, I got it, I got it. Thank you.
So the regional appointments made by the board, obviously we have a list of them here, chairman, vice chairman, are the two at the top. What, gentlemen, is the group's pleasure?
I would like to make a motion, since we're new and we got started on this, I would like to move that we retain the current grouping as it is, with Tom as the chairman, I'll be the vice chairman, and Jay. And leave it like we are right now, we've hit a pretty good stride. That's my motion.
Okay, I'll second that. Discussion?
I just want to make sure, the only thing we're voting on at this point is
Those
our...
three, that's correct.
Those three.
Yes, good,
Fine.
great point of clarification.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was,
Been
Okay.
moved and seconded to appoint Tom Flowers chairman, Bill Canada vice chairman, and Jay Prince as commissioner. Any discussion, gentlemen?
okay.
Hearing none. We'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. Clerk to the board, administrative assistant, and county attorney. I would move that we Retain Kelly Camper as clerk, Brenda Gady as administrative assistant, and Clint Smith as the attorney.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to retain those three individuals. Any discussion?
Anybody out there? I don't have any.
Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Let the record show Kelly Camper, clerk to the board, Brenda Gady, administrative assistant to the board, and Mr. Clint Smith as the county attorney. Chair would entertain a motion on.
Okay, I move that we will group the next three together, the road and bridge supervisor, the assistant supervisor, and the assistant supervisor. Gary Hind, supervisor, Roger Squire, assistant supervisor, and Larry Haynes, assistant supervisor.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve Gary Hyde, Roger Squire, and Larry Haynes. Larry Haynes being from Wetmore, Roger Squire being the assistant supervisor from Westcliff. Discussion. Public comment. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed nay. Motion carries. Let the record show that those three positions have been approved. I would move that we appoint Donna Hobby as a human resource finance manager.
I'll second it.
I'm going to include some others in
Oh,
there.
you are.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, you got
Vernon
it.
Roth as our.
Oh.
Wait,
Sorry, no.
we don't have the
Sorry.
custodian
Yeah,
position
no,
yet.
that's right. I was going to say as our IT guy, but we've already done that. So yeah.
He's further down the list.
Yeah. Donna Hobby as human resource, Laura Lockhart as our human services director. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Donna Hobby and Laura Lockhart to their respective positions. Discussion. Public comment. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed nay. Motion carries. Donna Hobby, Human Resource Finance Manager, and Laura Lockhart, Human and Social Services Director.
Can I just mention
Yes.
that we're in the process of attempting to hire a custodian, scales and minor maintenance, and once that person is hired, I would feel that obviously we're going to give that position to them.
Okay, good. And I believe that's on the agenda for tomorrow.
Right.
Okay, let me check something here real quick. Do you want to do the newspaper of record at the end? Do you want to do them now? What's the group's pleasure? Do it now?
We're moving down the list. Let's just do it.
At our last meeting, we opened the sealed bids for our let's see, is that right? Jay, we want to select that.
Right, we need to vote and approve a newspaper of record. Both entities in town qualify under the law as a
Right.
newspaper. So I would think we choose one of the two newspapers as our newspaper of record. And then what we have is a secondary publications in the event of a disaster. As far as I know, we've never used it, but we always name 3 other newspapers just in emergency.
Okay, thank you. Attorney Smith, do you feel we need to go back over those prices? Are we good?
I think they've all been read. If anybody has any questions, we can certainly read them or summarize them again.
Okay.
All right, so I'll move that we accept the bids as presented, and the low bid was to the Centennial. So I move we accept that as the
Yeah.
newspaper, Sentinel, accept that as our newspaper.
I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded to let the bid to the Sangre de Cristo Sentinel as our newspaper of publication. Discussion? Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a comment if I may.
Okay, sure.
First of all, I'm going to recuse myself from the final vote because at one point I represented the Wet Mountain Tribune in this exact discussion on point. And I feel it'd be a conflict of interest if I voted.
Okay.
But I would like to make a comment, which I am allowed to do, that is not
Absolutely. No.
that is not a conflict of interest. First of all, the state statute says that the maximum amount that can be charged is 44 cents.
Yes.
If you add both papers, the bids for both papers, and I really appreciate the Sentinel stepping up and offering a very reasonable, it's actually less than it was last year. I don't know how they stay in business at this price, but it's neither here nor there. But obviously they're trying to be good citizens by doing that. My real concern is, though, that I feel that public notice is just that. We need to get the word out to as many people as we can. The Wet Mountain Tribune has significantly more readership based on published circulation data by both newspapers. If we accepted the Sentinel and we as policy agreed that we would put notices in both newspapers, it still would be less than the statutory maximum, which is 44 cents. And I'm just putting that on the table as a discussion item because my concern is not I like one paper over the other, I dislike one, that has nothing to do with it. My only concern is public notice, and to get the notice out to as many people as possible. Would it make sense to appoint the lowest bid, which I think is certainly the appropriate way to do this, but also as a further discussion to say, let's put it in both papers simply because we can get more notice out to more people. So that's just a discussion item.
Sure. Okay.
It's interesting.
I will respond to that if I may. To me, this is purely a financial decision for the Board of Commissioners. So it's pretty cut and dried in my eyes that obviously it's a bid process that's designed to let those bids to the lowest bidder unless there's some extenuating circumstances. I do not see any. With respect to what you just said, I understand the readership, the subscription numbers. But I think to be wise stewards of the county's money, Commissioner Canada alluded to it earlier about interest on $2,000. I think my personal feeling is that we need to be wise stewards of our money, and I understand what you're saying, Jay, no problem with that. I clearly understand, but I think it goes against what the system is, how it's set up, what's mandated by law. If we award to both newspapers, then what is the point of the whole bid process other than trying to force them under the 44-cent cap? That's kind of my feeling on it.
That's fine. It really wasn't a selecting one or the other. I think it's clear cut who to select. The discussion was getting the word out.
Right.
And Ms. Boob said correctly a few weeks ago, this is on a website. It can be found by anybody who needs it. So, I mean, if someone is really looking for public notices and they choose not to buy a paper, they still can get either paper.
Yeah.
My thought was just it would be, we would get more visibility if we gave it to both papers, but I certainly concur with what you're saying.
All right, let me make a comment because I hear both of you, and you're right. Yeah, that's a thought. It's an item. Tom, by law, we are obligated to go with the lowest bidder. However, there are other reasons. Think about it. If we did what Jay wants, then there's nothing to keep both the papers not bidding up to the 44 limit, period. And we would always be paying that. And in fact, in the last years that we've only had one paper that Tribune has always had it. They've always charged 44 cents. And it was never, and this is the research I've done, I think that was the only paper in the state that charged the limit because there was competition in other areas. So when you go with both of them, you're just driving the cost up. Or if you go to the circulation argument, then only the big papers will get it, and then what's to keep them from charging 44 cents? So logically, I'm with you, Tom, and business-wise, that's just the way it is. Now, there's nothing to keep the Tribune from publishing it. I know, I think the Sentinel lost it a year ago or something. I think they still published it at their own expense. So the Tribune can do that. It's a matter of business and how you want to go after subscribers. And that's not our job. That's your job. So.
Further discussion?
Could I just add one
Yes.
thing, because I looked into this previously, by way of example, in Pueblo, obviously the Pueblo Chieftain is by large the largest paper, but there's another paper called the Colorado Tribune that exists solely for the purpose of doing the legal publications. I think that's sort of been tradition there. That has a circulation of 400. The Chieftain has a circulation of 50 or 60,000, something like that. But the Tribune has always published the legal notices, and
Yeah, I forgot you did that.
I did
Very good
that
point.
before. So its circulation is not particularly a factor. And the only ones that actually get it in Pueblo are some lawyers and realtors that have some interest in seeing those notices. That's all I had. I just wanted to throw that in.
Well, and thankfully in our community, more than just those few individuals are interested in reading the legal notices, which is a good thing. That's one of the great things about living in this community. Further discussion? Public opinion? Public comment, sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Just a thought, if you make it very confusing, that is the legal paper of record, and that's where people have to go to file their legal notices. So just to make it clear, right? Don't we
No,
have to
it's
file notices
Just
not
there?
people, that's county business.
Files its legal notices in the paper of record. People can file anywhere they
Anywhere.
want.
But the county, we're saying if we
Okay.
approve this, that that's where we're gonna place our.
I think, for example, a lot of the people, the ones that do all the foreclosures, all the notices that you have to publish, do they generally do that in which paper?
I'm the one that does that, and I could pick either paper because I'm not under your county restriction,
Right.
but I always go with the paper of record.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Further comment from the public? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of selecting or letting the bid for public notifications of the paper to the Sangre Crystal Sentinel, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. With one
Comment.
abstention, is that
Comment.
correct?
I'd like to abstain because of my conflict of interest, but I feel this is the right move. I just want to tell you that.
That brings up a question, Jay,
Okay.
after we vote. So
Okay, yeah, we're in the middle of a vote.
So I
Opposed?
abstain.
Abstentions?
I abstain.
Motion carries, 2 votes for, 1 abstained. Let the record show that this Sangre Crystal Sentinel will be our paper of record.
So this is not an agenda item, or I don't want to make it one, but I just want to find out. It's unfortunate you have to abstain. Is there still going to be future conflicts? Are you the lawyer for the town, or what? Or is that still an issue that could be something that we may have to address later on? Because if we don't want to do anything illegal, and we don't want to get you in a bind either. So, and it's a disservice to your.
The only items that I'm aware of where I will abstain, I abstained when the town of Westcliff was signing a contract with the sheriff's department because I was intimately involved in that. I abstained from the newspaper because as a private attorney I represented the Wet Mountain Tribune to try and convince the Board of County Commissioners prior to me being a commissioner to choose them as the record. As far as I know, I am not aware of any other conflicts that I have at this point. There certainly could be others, and if there are, I will recuse myself as I did today. I will never attempt to sway anything on a vote that I have a conflict of interest in.
Okay, yeah, see, I worry about it because if we were in a situation where town needs to have some money for something that we want to, like tennis courts, that to me would be a conflict of interest.
I disagree.
Wouldn't it? Because you're representing the town.
I'm not representing the town in terms of tennis courts.
Right.
I'm representing the town in legal aspects. So if there's a legal aspect of the town that it comes before the Board of County Commissioners, and it's something that I've been involved in, I will recuse myself.
Okay. I'd understood
Since
that.
I've been here, the only time between the town and the county that I have recused myself is the sheriff's contract.
Okay. Yeah, I had understood that the city of Silver Cliff had decided, I don't even know who the lawyer was for them, but they asked him to resign because we didn't want to deal with that issue that I'd heard. Is that true?
Who was that?
I don't know who it was.
Say that again?
Whoever represented the town of Silver Cliff.
It was also the county attorney? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I don't know that.
I don't know who, but anyway, bottom line is it a big deal? Why wouldn't you? I hate to see you not be able to represent your people, and Mike Carrot, Tom and I, you could be a swing vote, and that just to me is a disservice, and we need you to be able to have that input. That's all my point. So we can deal with that later.
Yeah, I mean, just
I'm
to
worried
comment, I follow the rules of legal procedure that preclude conflicts of interest, and they're very, very explicit. They're very lengthy, and the legal profession is very concerned about representing two sides of the same issue, and the key to it is the same issue. Just because I represent the town doesn't mean I'm going to represent the town on the same issue as presented that needs a vote.
I understand. I just, if your constituency's happy with you not voting, that's okay. But I'd worry about that.
Well, that's the way it is.
I also would like to have a little bit of discussion. Clinton would like to involve you in this. It's a little awkward because by statutes, Colorado Sunshine Law being the biggest one, we can't have these discussions unless we're in a meeting. So I know the day's going to get long, but I want to dovetail on this a little bit too, because it's the only chance we get to talk about this legally.
Yeah, we can't talk to each other, and we don't. We won't.
I guess my question, and because the topic came up, I do not want you to take this as a challenge. I want you to take this as an opportunity for us to have a discussion about this. I don't know the answer to this question that I'm going to ask, or I wouldn't ask it. And we'll just use this as an example, if that's okay with you, Jay, about the newspaper thing. If an individual, could be any of us, recuse ourselves from the vote, I don't know the guidelines, rules, or laws concerning discussion. And I guess here's where I'm coming from. Let's say that I'm going to recuse myself from a vote on a certain item, but I'm allowed to debate and discuss that and try to convince my fellow commissioners how to vote, but I'm not voting myself. I get a mixed message there. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand your mixed message, but it's perfectly legal for me to discuss the items. As I did today, it is not legal for me, or it may be a violation of the ethics code. There's no law. This is a legal ethics issue. And I feel I'd be violating a ethical duty that I have as an attorney to vote. However, to voice my opinion, I have the absolute right to do that at any time.
Good. And that was what clarification I was looking for. Clint, you on board with that? I know ex officio members in meetings get to voice their opinions till they can turn blue in the face and then don't vote. So.
Yeah, and Jay's governed by he's the legal code of ethics as an attorney, and then the code of ethics that's been adopted by the state of Colorado for all elected officials. So he has to follow both those. You're governed just by the one since you're not attorneys.
So from a conflict of interest point of view, there's no statutory anything that would stop a commissioner from being involved on any project and then voting to do it.
Well, the code of ethics is incorporated into the Colorado Constitution for the elected officials. I mean, that's your call initially, but if somebody challenges you on it or chooses to take you to court on it, then there could be a judicial determination at some point whether you stepped over the line. But initially, it's your decision whether or not you feel that there's a conflict sufficient for you to disqualify yourselves from voting on something.
Good. And again, I apologize if I come across as challenging your participation in the discussion. It just brought to my mind where the line is or whatever, and I certainly accept what you're saying. Don't have a problem with that. Yes, ma'am.
Can I just say one thing? I understand that you had to follow statutes. I understand that. With the lowest bidder. There's no way on God's green earth the Tribune can ever compete with how low they go. like Commissioner Prince said, how do they make money? How can they afford to do it? There's no way.
Yeah.
I would hope maybe in the future there are other guidelines that could be considered, because to be more fair, I would say, because everyone else advertises their legals with the Tribune, and the county is the only one that doesn't.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's why the whole bid process is in statutes. There's no fair way to select out of more than one competitor on anything than low bid if it involves money. So, okay, point heard. Thank you. All right, let's move on.
I'll move that we have as the secondary publications the Canyon City Daily Record, the Pueblo Chieftain, and the Florence Citizen as secondary publication sites in the event of inability to post with the Sentinel.
There's a question mark. Does that mean if anybody has another paper that you had in mind?
Well,
or what did you mean by that?
Last year it was the Tribune. And so until we voted on which one was going to be the primary, I put the question mark in.
So the Tribune should be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was last year, yes.
Okay. It is not included in Jay's motion at this time.
Anybody else have a newspaper that they're friendly with? No, I'm just looking for comments.
Okay, well, we're not having comment yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'd like to amend my motion to include the Wet Mountain Tribune as a secondary publication.
And I don't think we need to deal with a true amendment, but if you want to add that on, that's fine.
I'd like to add that to my amendment.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to select the Canyon City Daily Record, the Pueblo Chieftain, the Florence Citizen, and the Wet Mountain Tribune as secondary publications. Any discussion?
Now's the time to ask. Thanks for keeping me honest.
Yeah, well.
Anybody got another newsletter they want to involve?
Well,
newspaper.
Is there any discussion between the three of us? Sorry, Bill. Jay, you good?
I get to be first.
Okay. Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Ms. Kelly, let the record show we selected those four. I would move that we select the bulletin board in the courthouse, the Custer County website as our official posting places, and that the official website for the county continue to be custercountygov.com.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to select the official posting place and the official website. Discussion, gentlemen?
You know, if I may, just because we have so much free time today.
Be careful, Jay. We're getting restless out there.
No, every governmental organization has .gov. Why in the world are we .com?
Because .gov was not available at the time that this website, Dan got the website. So I happened to know.
Good, I just want to know.
And so that was as close as he could get to .gov.
I also believe there's a significant expense. Is that correct?
I think maybe it is much more expensive to get .gov. But at the time, Custer County .gov was not available.
I wonder why. Who else is Custer County?
Even if it was available, changing at this point would be ludicrous. I was just curious why, and I appreciate that answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Well, the general public are more familiar with .com than they are .gov or .org or any other thing.
Okay, Dallas?
Yeah, at the time, the server for .gov was full. And they've since expanded their capabilities, but that was quite a while back.
Yeah, it was 20 years ago or something.
All right.
Okay, that's just a question.
Yeah, I was wondering that too, Jay. Thanks.
Yeah, and .gov would, if you picked it up now, it would cost you about 3 times as much.
I'll call the question.
Okay. All in favor of the official posting place and official website as listed, say aye.
Aye.
Motion. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay, I move the next one. Is that we ready for that?
Yes.
For for the depositories, First State Bank of Colorado. Colorado Trust is the secondary.
Yeah, it's not actually Colorado. I checked on that. It is actually named Colo Trust.
Colo Trust.
Yeah, okay. I'll second the motion. Been moved and seconded to select First State Bank of Colorado and Colo Trust as our depositories. Discussion, gentlemen?
Again, forgive me, we do know that they're solid and sound because we leave more money in there than is guaranteed by the federal government insurance. Do we ever check to make sure that this bank is solid and sound and we don't have to worry about our money?
Well, that'd be our CFO question, I would assume.
Well, that's Virginia's job.
Virginia, yeah,
Virginia,
I think
yeah.
Virginia takes care of all that.
Okay.
And I believe Virginia told me Colo Trust is where the majority of the conservation trust funds are kept.
Where is that?
Denver, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of selecting First State Bank of Colorado and Colo Trust as our depository, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
We could ask Virginia to follow up if we wanted to.
I'd like to move that, if it's okay, I'm just going to read the rest of the names simply because I feel probably not going to be an issue, but who knows. So I move that we name Jackie Hobby as the Planning and Zoning Director and also the Code Enforcement official and also the Sanitation official. I also move that we name Vernon Roth as the IT Director, Alyssa Magnuson as the County Public Health Nurse, Cindy Howard as the head of the Office of Emergency Management, Tim Schwartz, Veterans of Service Office, and Rusty Christensen as landfill supervisor.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Jackie Hobby, Planning and Zoning Sanitarian, Vernon Roth, IT Director, Alyssa Magnuson, County Health, Cindy Howard, Office of Emergency Management, Tim Swartz is our VSO officer, and Rusty Christensen is the landfill supervisor. Further, any discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Well done.
Thank you. So those are the regional appointments and the newspaper of record. Then we'll move on to the
Letters, huh? Boards.
board appointments for various organizations within the county. And now I will ask, are you gentlemen comfortable in following this
Sure, I'm good with it.
order, just to give us direction?
Find it first.
Mine is at board appointments is how it's listed. Top one, Jay. Top one. I believe is what you're looking for anyway. Not trying to tell you how to do your business.
Yeah,
No? Okay.
mine's not. I'm still not following that.
You want to use this?
Yeah.
Although I have comments on mine. I
Yeah.
had it up just a second
That's why I'm
ago.
not giving mine up, because I've got some comments written on it.
Let me try again.
I'll take it back if you're not going to use it. I don't have any comments.
I don't know why. I guess they pull that one up and it's pulling something.
Take your time,
else.
no hurry. As a matter of
I
fact,
apologize for the delay.
Matter of fact, yeah, it's 10%.
Okay, I have it. Thank you.
okay, all right.
I have it. Okay. Thank you.
And so the audience, obviously you don't have a hard copy of this document. It's a list of the various boards and organizations that either
No, it's right there.
one or more of the commissioners are appointed to, or one of our responsibilities is to approve the appointments from the various boards and organizations. And those are done by letters of intent from the individuals serving on those boards, sent eventually forwarded to Brenda or the commissioners for their appointments. Typically they go through that chairman of the board or whatever, and then they're brought to the commissioner's administrative assistant. So that's what we're talking about here, fairly lengthy. The good thing is a lot of these boards only have one or two appointments that expired in January of 2018, so we'll only be reappointing those positions, not the entire board. The rest of the board had been approved by prior commissioners, and their terms will expire subsequent to January of 2018. So, Upper Arkansas Area Council of Governments Board, we need an commissioner rep on that. Jay Prince had been that. This is a one-year appointment, correct?
Correct. This is a really important board. All of the, I'll just give you a little background on what it is. All of the Southern Region commissioners, mayors, high town officials meet, usually it's quarterly, to just discuss issues. It's not really political, but we have a lot of things that go on. Typically speaking, there is one person from the Board of County Commission, our commission, appointed to that. However, we have had other commissioners attend these meetings. It's definitely worthwhile.
Where are they, Jay? Where are they?
Well, they move around. We had, the last one was in Fremont County. We've had them up here in Custer County. We'll have one in Chaffee County next time. I believe it's Chaffee next time, but I'm not positive. So it just moves around between the region. It's excellent, and I would like to be appointed, but I would really like to also suggest that if both you gentlemen would like to join, it's really worthwhile for our county to be represented well.
Good. Okay, that's officed out of Canyon City.
Okay.
Well, I move we reappoint Jay and to the board, Upper Arkansas Area Council of Governments for next year.
I'll second that. Moved and seconded to appoint Jay to the Upper Council of Governments. Discussion, public comment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Do they allow the public to attend, Jay?
Sir?
Public can attend those
Absolutely.
meetings. Anybody can show
Absolutely.
up.
Anybody could show
How
up.
do they get the schedule?
It's on the website.
Yeah, they put it on the website. They send out emails too, so I think you could send an email to the people on the website saying, please add me to your distribution.
So it ought to show up on our website when
Correct.
periodically, right? So
Correct. You
people
should
can
be
get
getting an email on it. From it.
UCOG Recycling Board. Jay, do you?
Yeah, that's the one we discussed a week or so, a couple weeks ago, and Ms. Bubas rightfully suggested that we do that as a regular appointment. I would be happy to take that.
Okay. Counselor, do we need to vote on each one of these? I want to go through them individually. I don't want to throw a blanket over them and vote on all of them. Can we do general consensus? Can we volunteer, or should we have a formal vote on all of these?
I think it would be better to take a formal vote
Okay.
on each of these.
Good, thank you. I'll move that Jay Prince be selected as the appointee to the UCOG Recycling Board along with Dennis Sprecher.
I'll second.
We move to seconded to appoint Dennis Sprecher and Jay Prince to the Recycling Board. Discussion, public comment. Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. UCOG Workforce Investment Board. Charles Bogle, Chuck Steigerwalt, and then we need a board rep, and I would volunteer to do that unless someone else has a burning desire.
I'll move to appoint Tom Flower as our commissioner rep on the Upper Arkansas Workforce Investment Board.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Been moved and seconded to appoint myself, Tom Flower, Charles Bogle, Chuck Steigerwalt to the UCOG Workforce Investment Board. Discussion. Public comment. Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Southern Colorado Economic Development District, Marilyn Stadola.
Just a suggestion.
Okay.
I've been representing the county on the Economic Development Board, so it may make sense for me, and I would volunteer unless someone else would rather do it, to take this on since they're so closely entwined. but I'll leave that up to whatever
Okay.
discretion you feel.
Well, thank you for your volunteer. I would move that we accept Jay and Marilyn Stoddle as our appointments for the Southern Colorado Economic Development District.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Public comment? Yes, sir.
I would hope that Bill Kanda would participate in this because I think he would be representing the agricultural interest of the county as opposed to just the secular or non-agricultural interest in the county.
I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point. Thought about volunteering.
Well, as with you, I'm assuming.
Of course, and it's always open to anybody. Tom, Bill, you're very welcome, but just from the point of contact is what we're talking about. And your point's well taken.
Thank you, sir. Further public comment? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you volunteering for that. Airport Advisory Committee, all of those terms expired in January of 18. Dallas, would you like to address the board about any of that?
Just a question, sir. How many letters of intent did you get for that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The only declination that I'm aware of was Jack Decker.
Okay,
Does
that's
that
correct.
fit
Yes.
along with you? So let me read that list in real quick. Bob Jolly, Bob Keister, Dan Green, Dallas Anderson, Alan Butler, and Lynn Legree. Does that?
Okay, yep.
Yeah. I would move we approve these gentlemen to serve on the Airport Advisory Committee.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Bob Jolly, Bob Keister, Custer, Dan Green, Dallas Anderson, Alan Butler, and Lynn Legree. Discussion? Yes, sir.
Could we add the BOCC representative on
Yes.
to that also, please?
Yes.
It's you, I believe, is it?
Yeah, and actually, no, it's not me, it's
Maybe.
Bill,
Bill?
but he's our point of contact. He really would not be part of that advisory board.
Okay,
So,
Yeah, that's separate.
yeah,
okay.
okay. Good point, thank you. Further discussion, public comment? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Let the record show. You good on the names, kiddo?
Good.
You-
Yeah.
Or do I need to go through them again?
No, I got them right here.
Comments?
No, we're on. Next. E 911 Authority Board.
So this is both vacants.
Yeah, I would volunteer to serve on that
Yeah,
as a rep.
Okay. I'll stand up for it.
Okay, Jay, you okay with that?
Yeah.
Do you? Okay. I would move that Tom Flower and Bill Candace serve on the E 911 Authority Board.
Typically, just FYI, the three commissioners have been showing up for that because it's such an important
Okay.
item, but I'm fine with both of you being contact.
Okay, is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Tom Flower and Bill Canada to the 911 Authority Board. Discussion, public comment, hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Jay, did you vote and I didn't hear?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. No.
Yes.
Okay.
I apologize.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
You didn't hear him, Tom.
No, I did not.
He was
thinking of the
thinking-
next one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Custer Emergency Service. Historically, there's been two commissioners on that.
Correct.
Okay. Your preference, Jay? Yes or no? Or-
I would be happy to stay on it. It's a really, really important thing.
Okay.
And I took it on earlier, so continue.
Bob Kadnick did a wonderful job making sure that, all this stuff was taken care
Okay,
of.
good.
So,
Okay. I'll move that we appoint Jay Prince and Bill Canada to the Custer Emergency Service Board. Is there a second?
I second. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Been moved and seconded to accept Bill Canada and Jay Prince on the Custer Emergency Services Board. Discussion, public comment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Action 22. Bill discussed that a little bit earlier. Historically, all three commissioners have been on that board, along with Chuck Steigerwalt, Charles Bogle. It is a legislative action group, as Ms. Barthorpe alluded to. They really cover natural resources, economic development, healthcare, and education. upon a little research right away, I got a little crossed up with the whole deal because I see there really the only mention of education on that Action 22 is post-secondary, which gets me a little riled up. So, but if I end up being a commissioner rep, I will ask them about that very thing. Maybe by statute or whatever, that's all they deal with, but I can't imagine it. So,
No, it's not by statute.
what's group pleasure?
I'll volunteer to continue.
I would like all three of us, I would suggest.
All three can attend, there's one vote.
Right.
And
If Bill wants to be the one vote, that's fine, but I would urge the three of us to attend this.
I concur. I did do a little research, Bill, unless I'm missing something, all those counties have one vote regardless of the size of their county. Everybody's equal.
Dan might be able to clarify that, 'cause
Well, that's what their bylaws say, so.
Well, they had several votes in each county. Maybe from the commissioners, they have one, because it's also a group of businesses and
Right.
individuals.
Good, thank you.
and it's by population somehow, you said.
I do not have a record, Brenda, of getting a letter of intent from Chuck Steigerwalt or Mr. Bogle. Do you?
I thought Charles had,
Oh, he did.
I
He
think Charles-
included
Different
his on
things and
3 different
his-
things. That's correct. So we're good.
but I haven't seen anything from Chuck at all.
Okay.
Well, I move that we appoint, or Bill Camden, appoint POC, the other commissioners to attend as they can. And Charles Bogle, are we
Well,
reaffirming him?
Yes. I think we all 3 need to be on that. Don't you, Jay?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I said.
well, I thought you
I
said
thought you
also
said POC.
attend. No, we're
Oh, no,
all
I
3 commissioners.
meant all of us.
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha. Sorry. Okay, so didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
So then
that's fine.
Steigerwalt and Bogle
Yeah.
as well? Okay, I'll second the motion. Been moved and seconded to appoint Tom Flower, Bill Kanda, and Jay Prince, Chuck Steigerwalt, and Charles Bogle to serve on the Action 22 board. Discussion, I guess, and then as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to a vote, Bill can be our liaison there. I don't have a
As
problem
long
with
as he
that.
votes the way I want.
Well, that's right.
We're
You
okay.
don't have to vote the way we want.
That was a joke.
Yeah.
That was-
Further discussion? Public comment? Yes, ma'am?
Just to clarify, Chuck and Charles each have a vote also.
Correct.
Is that because of their businesses or because they're with the county?
No, I'm assuming that's
Businesses
business.
within the county.
Yes.
So then you're having to approve them being on the board to attend the board meetings for their businesses?
We're appointing them as representatives to that board.
Some other business could have
They've
asked to be
indicated-
on the board.
Right.
How do they do that? How do they?
Letter,
A letter to the board?
Letter of
Yes.
intent, yes, sir.
and that request is published the end of the year.
And actually, that gets to be a little slippery slope. Depends on the bylaws of the individual organizations,
Yeah.
including Action 22, of how they appoint their members. Typically, most of the bylaws that I've read pertaining to these organizations, it's set up that those people indicate to the chairman of that board that they're interested in serving on that board. Then the board looks at that nominee and either recommends it to the commissioners or not.
That board, not you?
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you ultimately select?
That's correct, yes. We approve the recommendations,
Of what they?
yes, of the individual boards or organizations, that's correct, yeah. Yeah, we have not, as commissioners, put these names on this list. These
So
were
really the
provided
letter
to
has to
us.
go into them, right?
That's correct, that's what I'm saying.
Not
It
to
can
you.
come to us, and it has, but it's not the proper
They have
format.
to, I think they must look at it, and you can correct me on this, because different committees are different, but they look at it from a point of view of business. They represent the community, they not,
I'd like to
do
get
not
the
have
address
full
of
round.
the committee or the chairman of that committee.
Action 22?
Yes.
Yeah, I had that written down. I don't think I have it on my notes here. But you can go to Action 22 on their website. Just look, Google that up. Do you have it? Okay, thank you. Good, appreciate it. Further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor of Flower, Camden, Prince, Steigerwalt, and Bogle on the Action 22 committee, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries.
Who
Call it.
made that motion?
Bill made that motion.
Yeah, I did. Sure.
Yes, that's what I have.
Bill, thank you. Yeah. I started to jump ahead and had to kind of go, Colorado Film Commission. Mr. Prince, you have served on that previously.
I have.
Your desire to continue, or?
Sure.
And I would also like to be on that film commission. And I mean, it's historically we've had two. I don't know that it precludes us from having three on there, but
There wouldn't be a reason why I couldn't show up.
no,
Of course not.
no.
I'm only on it because I'm waiting to be cast next to Tom Hanks.
There you go.
I just want you all to know that.
Do you get to meet a lot of movie stars in that position? Okay.
I'll move that we appoint Jay Prince, Tom Flower, and Marilyn Hennessy to the Colorado Film Commission.
I'd like to comment.
Hold on.
He's going to allow you.
It's been moved and seconded that we appoint Jay Prince, Tom Flower to the Colorado Film Commission along with Marilyn Hennessy. Is there discussion?
None here.
Okay, I'll get to him. Good. Okay. Public comment?
Yes, because most of the movies that are created in Westcliff and Custer County are westerns. I think somebody that's agriculturally oriented should be attending those meetings. Because if we develop this place to look like Pueblo, they're not going to come here and make cowboy movies.
Tom and I both are very agricultural.
Further comment?
I know you are. That's why I want you to attend.
That's why I said I'm not going to. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I wanted you to attend. I don't know Tom.
All right, further public comment? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor of Flower, Prince, and Hennessy on the Colorado Film Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
And I'll go and try to get a job with the film industry too.
Transportation Planning Regional and the Special Transportation Advisory Committee.
It makes the most sense for me for the same person who is our road and bridge supervisor to attend those.
Okay.
Since they seem to, both those seem to
Okay.
go
And I'll
together.
volunteer.
So
Motion to that effect, sir?
I'll make a motion that we appoint Bill to the TPR/STAC and the Scenic Byways.
Oh, and Scenic Byways
I would
vote?
do,
Okay.
yeah, they're just intertwined,
Okay.
unless you feel differently,
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
I'll second the motion.
TPR.
It's been TPR/STAC. Been moved and seconded to appoint Bill Kanda as the commissioner rep on the Transportation Planning Region and the Special Transportation Advisory Commission.
Second.
And the Scenic Byways.
And the Scenic Byways, I'm sorry, yeah, we'll include both of those. No, let's include them in both that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Bill Kanda to those two. Obviously, the Scenic Byways came into existence, I believe, in 1998, a stretch of highway from Pueblo to Westcliff with a spur from the junction,
165.
thank you, ma'am, 165
165
around to Colorado City.
Henry knows all about it.
Yeah, so,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
may I request a 10-minute break before we proceed further?
Yeah, let's
After the
finish
vote,
this.
after the
Yeah,
vote, I apologize.
that's fine, no problem. Further discussion, public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Board will go into recess for 10 minutes.
Very loudly.
The next appointments will be the Southern Colorado Regional Emergency Trauma Advisory Committee.
One of these.
Let me look here.
Thank you.
According to my records, we've received letters of intent from Beth Archuleta, Elizabeth Magnuson, Dave Tonsing, Cindy Howard, and Larry Weber. Motion to that effect.
I so move that we appoint, where are they? Elizabeth Archuleta, Alyssa Magnuson, Dave Townsend, Cindy Howard, and Larry Weber to the SCRETAC.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Southern Retech, that's right.
I know it.
It's been moved and seconded to accept those individuals to serve on the Southern Colorado Retech Board. Discussion?
I'd just like the record to show that
Thank you.
Cindy Howard and Larry Weber are alternates.
Thank you. That.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, I'm glad you did that. Thank you.
Step on your toes.
Further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote to appoint Elizabeth Archuleta, Alyssa Magnuson, and Dave Tonsing onto the Southern Colorado RETAC Board with Cindy Howard and Larry Weber serving as alternates. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries. Thank you. Director of the Ambulance Licensure and Inspection. Again, that Southern Colorado RETAC Board has done that historically. Chair will entertain a motion.
I move to keep it the same, except the CTAC board, retract.
Okay.
SCRETAC.
I'll second the
Been
motion.
moved and seconded to appoint the Southern Colorado RETAC Board as a Director of Ambulance Licensure and Inspection. Discussion. Public comment. Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Bill?
Aye, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was
Opposed,
moving ahead.
nay?
Like,
You might have voted-
I was already on the next
You
one.
might have voted against it. Motion carried. Planning Commission, we have, I'm not sure what list you guys are looking at, but let me just say that Patrick Lynch, that was a typo. His, is that both of these for me, or?
That's from Jackie.
They go down to
Oh.
One for each.
one for each.
Oh, there's one for each, okay, sorry.
The planning commission, all the seated members are not up because of the confusion last year.
Right,
So we're trying to get them back in order, so we have no one to replace on the
Right.
planning commission this year.
okay. All right, as I was saying, on your list, Patrick Lynch was listed as his term
But that was
expiring January of 18. Do you gentlemen see that?
Yep.
That was a typo. That should have been January 2021. So his term is not expiring.
Lynch is
No.
21.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you hear that, Brenda?
I did.
No, it wouldn't be.
Patrick Lynch?
No, because he was up last year, so it's 17, 18, 19. 20.
He expired January of,
20.
It'd be 20.
but his term expired January of 17.
Yes, he sent in his letter
4 years.
last year.
Okay, so the typo here was even incorrect, is that right?
And that wouldn't be my fault, so don't stare at me.
The only reason I'm even looking your direction is because you were actually speaking.
Okay, Jackie, what's
But
the real date?
I don't
What's
want
the
to get
date?
into this thing again. You believe it is 2020.
Correct,
So his term did expire of
last year.
last year.
And he sent in a letter and got approved.
Okay, so instead of 21, that should be
He was
2020.
already pre-approved.
Yes, that's my point, that was just a typo that he's been,
That keeps going. Because of me.
Like the Energizer
It was
Bunny.
me, it was all my fault.
so we do not have any changes to the Planning Commission because there are no new members coming on, is that correct?
Yes. Whatever you said.
That's what I was
So
thinking.
this is just for our information.
Well, yeah, go ahead, sir.
You have, what, 2 openings on that at the moment?
No, not the planning commission,
Not the planning commission. Which
the
one
board of
has?
zoning adjustment.
Thank you. Okay, I was confused.
Chair will entertain a motion, well, no, we don't.
We don't have
We're
to.
good.
We're good.
BZA, Board of Zoning Adjustment. We did have one person go off of that board. I don't know if it was a resignation or term limited or,
Resignation of
okay, and that
Rob.
was Rob McElraith. So that gentleman, if you let the record show, has been removed from the BZA.
So,
Rob was
and then-
removed.
We have a new appointment. Jackie, would you like to speak to that?
yes, typically you have to be an associate member before you become a seated member. I always poll all my associate members and ask them if they want a seated position. The only one that's agreed to a seated position was Mike Carter at this time, and so I actually emailed him yesterday and had him clarify that he still was interested in that seated position, and that's the letter that you just received from Miss Camper. So my recommendation is Jean Canterbury is already on that. She's already sent a letter of intent in to retain Jean Canterbury and appoint Mike Carter in the vacancy.
Thank you. It's the group's pleasure.
Question, what would the term that Mr. Carter's term would end?
3 years.
Okay,
All
so it would
seated
be
positions.
It would be a new one.
Yes, that's a
Yes,
new
because he's an
appointment.
associate member and
That's
he would
correct.
have a term of 3 years.
So it'd be 121, is that right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I move that-
18, 19, 20.
I move that we,
So he'd renew in 21.
yeah, in January of
He
21
serves all
is when
three
he
of
would
them.
have to renew.
Right.
That's correct. I move that we reappoint Gene Canterbury on the BZA and appoint Mike Carter to fill a new seated position,
I'll
3-year
second
term.
that. Second.
Moved and seconded to appoint Gene Canterbury, Mike Carter to the BZA. Discussion. Public comment. Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. So let the record show Gene Canterbury and Mike Carter have been appointed. Alternates, Miss Hobby? Or not?
Okay, now, we have associate members.
Yes, alternates are associate members of the Planning Commission.
Okay, we have decided that we have interchanged it and we have gone with associate.
All right, so alternates is out.
Strike
Let's
alternates.
hope.
Well,
Okay. Uh-huh.
as of
Because in
today-
our zoning regs, it's associates.
Associate, okay.
Okay, so the associates members that need to be reappointed are, because they only serve a 1-year term, is Mike Shields, Lance Ingram, and Skip Northcross.
Okay,
We do have 2 new letters of intent, and I would like to have some discussion when you get to that.
okay, let's do the current ones first and then we can do the new appointments.
Okay,
All right. I move we reappoint Skip Northcross, Lance Ingram, Mike Shields to the, as associates to the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Adjustment.
I'll second the motion.
Been moved and seconded to appoint those 3 individuals. Discussion.
Yeah, I do. Just a quick one. Jackie, why is Steve Henning and Mike Carter 118 and these are these 1-year appointments?
yes.
So why aren't they up? Or why are there new ones?
Well,
What? How did they?
Okay, Steve Henning
resigned.
resigned,
Yeah.
and Mike Carter got a seated position on the BZA.
Okay, that's
just now.
why. So I'm just wondering why they were still here.
Well, scratch him, yeah.
Yeah, scratch them off.
Like that.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was, Mike Carter was on there because until
Till we
a
approve.
couple minutes ago.
Right. I understand that one.
Yeah, so, and then Steve Henning, I should have informed the board, I apologize for that, did resign off of the associate member, yeah. Further discussion, public comment, hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor of Skip Northcross, Lance Ingram, and Mike Shields being reappointed to as associates to the PC and BZA, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Let's talk about newly seated associate members. Mrs. Hobby, would you like to take the lead?
Yes, I have 2 that have sent in letters of intent. One is a James A. Heath, and the other one is a Daryl Windland.
Yes.
Okay, so I was a little concerned because our zoning regs say that you have to be a permanent resident of Custer County. And I did know that Daryl's Windland's house was not built yet. So I called him this morning and he said he was a permanent resident, although he hasn't changed his driver's license or his car license plates. In our zoning regs, it states that you have to be a permanent resident of Custer County. A couple of my board members would like to wait a year, this is just their suggestion, and follow the zoning regs because they feel that he is not a permanent resident because he has an address here, but he hasn't changed any of his license or license plates and his house isn't built.
Did he vote here?
No.
You're not, if,
Are we referring to Mr. Heath? Is that
No,
right?
Daryl
No.
Windland.
Daryl Windland.
Okay, thank you.
Do you know where he's living currently?
No, I didn't think I should get to that.
Okay. Yeah, I think, I've had a similar discussion with the Division of Wildlife concerning what really is a legal statute or the statute of being a legal resident of a county and or a state. And it gets a little gray. Division they're totally out there, so we don't need to go into that. But I don't know that we have anything in our
bylaws just state that you have to be a permanent resident.
Right.
So I guess the concern is that he's in the process of building a home, but also there's another board member here on the Planning Commission, Mr. Mullen, that maybe he could his perspective on it.
Okay, I would say, number one, whether or not he's building a home has no merit on whether or not he's a resident. Now, maybe his intent is to build a home and move here. We don't know that, but just the fact that he's not finished building a home, I don't think would establish residency or not. That's why I asked where he lives. If he's living in the county now on a full-time basis, then I would say he would meet the zoning regs. If he's not, then he wouldn't.
He said that he was living here. I don't know where he's living,
Okay.
but he's living within the county.
Okay.
But I also know that he didn't vote here and that his license plates do not reflect Colorado.
And I don't think voting is a requirement to be a permanent resident of any county.
No, and
You don't have to vote, in other words, so.
usually people look for a utility bill being paid.
True.
So, yeah, I can only speak to another state agency, and they require that you have to have a postmarked utility bill to prove residency, but that's at a state level, so it really doesn't apply. I will take your comment, and then I'll defer to Mr. Mullen. Yes, sir.
I think it might be appropriate for the commission to, or whoever should do this, to amend the bylaws to clarify what a permanent resident is.
Point well taken, and they're actually, I think the planning commission is looking at their zoning regs currently, right? Have you guys finished that process, or are you still in the middle of that?
We're still in the middle.
So that's a good point, thank you, sir. It may be something that you want to consider.
And I think, I think with the amendments, you'll see more clarification,
Yeah.
because, and you don't ever think of it, it's like reactive type amendments.
Yeah, Counselor, any thoughts?
No, I mean, generally, residence and domicile are sort of the same thing, and it doesn't sound like he qualifies right now.
Well, if he's living here, wouldn't he?
Well, if
he can prove he is.
I mean, if he can prove he is, he can apply. I mean, I'm not sure what we're gonna do about the other vacancy then. Is that gonna stay vacant, or since you don't have any other applications?
I'll apply.
I have Mr. Heath, but I can take, there is no limit
On the associate.
on the associates.
Yeah.
And associates are just fill in, they come to the meeting, they get to have an opinion, they just don't get to vote.
Okay, but you were looking for two because Mr. Henning resigned?
No, that's more than it doesn't matter.
Okay.
1 to 10.
What's your minimum? You want to have a couple in the background.
I don't have a minimum because it's a volunteer position, and I like to take anybody because we all know what it's like to volunteer. It sounds really fun, and then at the end, it's like this is right.
Mr. Prince?
My feeling's slightly different. The gentleman said he's a resident. We're taking anecdotal evidence as to maybe he is, maybe he's not, and we really don't know that. I would suggest that we appoint him pending verification of residency, and that being on the electric bill or whatever you mentioned just a second ago. And if at that point he doesn't, then we remove him. But if we have someone who's volunteering who says that he meets it, I don't think we really should not accept him.
Okay, point well taken. Yeah, and I had a conversation with Jackie about this and was aware that, I don't know this gentleman, but I was aware that he was in the process of building a home and that he hadn't finished it. And then I got to thinking, that should not, in my mind, qualify whether a person's a resident. There should be something else. That's why I bring that up. Mr. Mullen, I'll defer to you, sir.
Well, I was just made the comment when I sat here and heard about that. Number one, I've been an associate for like 4 years, and then I worked up to be a seated member. Been on the board for 7 years, and I believe that we ought to follow the rules when it comes to planning and zoning. So when I looked at the two applicants for associate, don't know the gentleman, I'm happy that he applied, but if he doesn't meet the requirements of being a resident and can't prove that, then he ought not be a member of the board until such time as he can.
No, I would agree. I would ask then, I guess in summary, Jackie, are you recommending this individual? Do you feel he meets the
I believe that he would in future meet it, but I also am a little concerned with the dwelling not being done, and I would like to see a board that has a little bit more solid backing that I know, but I also know that volunteers are hard to come by, and I take them all.
Okay, all right.
Let me make a comment on that then. He could be renting the place here and be a legal resident.
Pardon?
You haven't asked him to prove where he's residing.
No, and I
So
called him
it's-
this morning
I
and he
agree
is
with
living
what
here.
you're
He
saying.
said he's a resident, but he hasn't changed. He volunteered his license or his car
That doesn't matter,
plates.
because the military come and go and people have licenses all.
And like I said, yes, all it says in our zoning regs is that you have to be a permanent resident. On the other side of the coin is, I love all volunteers.
We got that. We understand.
Kumbaya.
Yes, ma'am.
Just, it seems like whatever is the normal procedure, if it's normal to take somebody's word for it, then you take their word for it until proven otherwise.
That's what I was
That to single one person out because we're not sure,
No, you can't.
and make them prove it, that just seems, that seems a little over the top, unless the rule, you want to go by the rule of law, and you want to go across the board by the rule of law.
Good point, well taken. Thank you. Mr. Anderson?
Yes, sir, I believe, since the reg says a permanent resident, there should be no reason why you shouldn't ask them to prove they are a permanent resident.
But then everybody should have to.
Yeah, I mean, if you do it to one, then you would expect that.
Don't start something that I have to finish.
Well, you're the one that brought it up. So,
He's got a proof.
all right, I'll take one more comment, then we're going to move forward. Yes, sir.
Hopefully, two of you will vote against this guy, and that'll settle the whole damn thing.
All right, further discussion, gentlemen. I would move that we appoint Darrell Winland and James Heath as associates to the Planning Commission.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint these two gentlemen as associates to the Planning Commission and BZA. Further discussion.
Do we want to have him prove it or not, I guess is the question.
I think since he has evidence that he's not, I think we should ask him to show.
Yeah, it's an exception. That doesn't put you on the hook for everybody else.
No, it's just one person because we have evidence that he's not. He's not voted here, he doesn't have his registration here and those things. So we need to say to him my suggestion would be we take him provisionally provided he provides some evidence that he is in fact a permanent resident and meets the requirement.
Verbal?
No.
Something in writing.
Yeah, something.
What's the group's pleasure? The motion's on the floor to
Accountable.
accept these two gentlemen. If you care to amend that, feel free.
I would suggest a friendly amendment to that stating that since there's a question about Mr., is it
Winland?
Winland's permanent residency to meet the requirements, that he be asked to show some physical evidence that he is. And if he cannot, then he'd be rejected, and if he can, then he'd be accepted.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend the main motion. We'll vote on the amendment and then vote on the motion as amended if the amendment passes. As the amendment would read, if I understand you correctly, sir, that to approve Mr. Winland if and when proof has been provided to Jackie as to residency.
That's fine.
Any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, or the amendment carries. We'll vote on the motion as amended then that we appoint Mr. Heath and Mr. Winland as associates to the Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Adjustment, pending proof of Mr. Winland's residency via Jackie Hobby.
I'll
Further
second.
discussion? Public comment?
I'm sorry, what was that?
That's okay, yeah, we're good. All in favor of the motion as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Motion opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Don't feel like you need to run out.
Their fund meters are paid early.
Right.
We finally get to Custer County Tourism Board. As I understand it, Jackie Bubis, is that the correct pronunciation of your last name?
That is the correct one.
Bubis.
Bubis.
Thank you, ma'am. Has resigned from that board, so let your list show that if it doesn't already, gentlemen.
We got a
Typically,
striker.
we need a commissioner on that board, along with Bob Weisenbach, Brent Bruiser, Gregory Smith, Renee Smith, Angie Arterburn. comments, sir?
I don't have Angie on my list.
You have been on that list, or on that
Yeah.
board? Yes.
She
And
is
you're-
on.
But
I wasn't this last.
Wasn't the last time, okay, but you have been on in the
Oh,
past.
I've been on, I helped get it started.
Okay, but not the immediate.
So do we have a
Proceeding.
replacement suggestion that we're gonna consider today, or is this,
Well,
we're
it
just
would be
striking
Angie.
Jackie, or just, we're gonna consider Angie to replace Jackie?
No, not necessarily replaced, just to go on the board.
Or to go on the board,
I
I should say.
can't be replaced.
That's right. Apparently you saved me from having to say that.
Meaning that she's gonna stick with her resigning.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to
Resignation.
verify this for technicality. You did submit a letter, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine.
So, yeah, I'll back up because I kind of got off on a tangent there. Mrs. Beavis did resign. We received letters from
She sent
Gregory
an email,
Smith, Renee Smith, and Angie Arterburn. Renee being the ex officio member. Gregory Smith's term expired in January of 18, and we have received both letters from all three of those individuals. And so Mrs. Arterburn's term would go, that's a 3-year term,
That's fine.
that would go to 121. I was asking, I'm not
Yeah.
sure about that.
Okay, no, that's fine.
And then Renee Smith will retain, or would be reappointed as ex officio member to that board.
I'd like to nominate you, Tom.
Okay, Jay, how do you feel?
I would appreciate being on that board if you're okay with it.
Okay.
I was just looking at it from an agricultural point of view.
Yeah.
These are awful heavy weighted city guys,
Except me.
except for you.
Yeah, I don't have a problem, Jay, with you being, have you been on it before?
Before.
Yeah.
That's not to
I
say
don't
you don't
think
know
we-
how things grow.
I don't think we both need
Well-
to be on there, do we?
Whatever
No,
you-
it
whatever
shouldn't
your
be.
choice is.
You don't want to have two
Yeah.
on board.
Okay. I will move that we appoint Jay Prince, reappoint Gregory Smith, reappoint Renee Smith as an ex officio member, and appoint Angie Arterburn to the tourism board.
What about Brent Bruder?
They're not up.
Oh,
These are just ones.
apologize.
It's
So
okay.
these are all have to be reappointed, even the 19
No,
one?
they
That
do
was-
not. That's
Okay.
why we're not dealing with those. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded then to appoint Jay Prince, Greg Smith, Renee Smith, Angie Arterburn. By the way, those two Smiths are not related. Any discussion? Public
Mr.
comment? Yes, ma'am.
Just a clarification, is ex officio for 1 year?
I don't believe so. If that's a normal term, it would be 3 if, either one of you address that, are the normal terms 3 years?
You know, it really was about 2 or 3 years ago, they even started doing ex officio.
Okay. Typically, boards I've sat on as an ex officio member were the term of whatever the general membership was.
Because it seems like she was just appointed to that position last year for
She
the
was.
first time. And then, so they put
Yeah,
118.
So they must have been, is one.
So I
year
don't
term.
know.
Okay,
That's why I'm asking.
yeah, great question. Well, let's appoint it for a 1-year term this year until we get some feedback. And maybe, Jay, you could follow up with them on that, what the terms of
I'll be glad.
membership are. Thank you, sir.
And so Greg is a 3-year?
Yes. Yeah, the only exception would be Renee.
21.
Further discussion? All in favor of appointing these gentlemen and one lady, or 2 ladies, sorry, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. I'll let the record show, Mrs. Camper, if we're okay that Renee Smith is a 1-year term ex officio. And Greg Smith and Angie Arterburn, membership. Thanks for being here.
Just a comment,
Yes, sir.
considering some of the adverse, I'm trying to delicately say this,
I know.
things that have been said at the only meeting I've ever been to. Why in the world are you willing to do this?
Because I am concerned of where it's going, and I want to be sure that it doesn't continue to go in the direction that parts are headed.
I appreciate you stepping up
Yes,
after
that's
the adversarial way that
Right.
you've been handled previously.
Thank you very much.
I compliment you.
Thank you very much.
And just a question, because that's a good point, Jay, is, and Jay will be there to help make sure conflicts don't continue.
Well, it's also-
Why did they happen in the first
It's
place?
also procedure.
Because
It's the dynamics of people and who's behind them, and just proper procedure note,
well, as long as, yeah.
you know.
May I ask who the chairman of that board is?
Bob
Bob
Weiser.
Weisenbach.
Okay, good. I agree with Jay. I would look to you, Mr. Prince, as an anchoring point. If there's some,
And you agree with me, not Jay.
sorry, I agree with Bill.
Himself.
I agree with Bill. I forget what Bill said, but I still agree. Because I didn't know that was Bill. I thought that
You
was
jumped
Jay.
ahead, right, Tom? You jumped ahead.
Yeah, I jumped ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
West Custer County Library Board.
That was already appointed.
Yes, we had ratified those in December 6th meeting. So those people have been ratified. And my list shows some of those expiring, but obviously that was taken care of in December. So I feel we can move on from that.
I just want to make a quick comment about that. They have not chosen their new president, vice president, treasurer.
Okay.
That'll be updated after, I think he said they have a meeting on the 12th.
Yes.
I'll update that.
Yeah, and I have every intention of attending that meeting, so, and that's at 11 o'clock, so I'll get
Which
that
meeting's that?
information as well. Pardon me?
Who's having that meeting?
Library Board in West Cliff. Okay, we move on. Extension Advisory Board. The recommendation that I would bring is that we wait on this appointment until the new extension agent has been hired. That's kind of the advice I've been given. Some of these people, their terms expire in 2020, and a number of them expire in 2018. So that's very much in limbo, that entire.
Then what I would like to do based on that, and I concur with you completely, I'd like to table at the moment the Extension Advisory Board appointment, the Fair Board appointment, and the Weed Advisory appointment at this time until such time as we have a director of CSU agent, and then we'll revisit that once we have that.
I will agree to that. Just a quick question before I'll second it is, Tom, what's the likelihood of this being done within the next 2 months?
Oh, yeah.
So,
I would be very
that's the
surprised if we
case.
don't
There's
hire somebody.
no issue.
Right.
Second.
That's, it's been,
Is that a motion?
It was a table.
it's been moved. Well, I'll get to it. I'll get to it.
Now she's thinking ahead.
Yeah, somebody else
Gotta
jumped
stop
in.
this.
Actually, I did move.
Yes,
Right.
I did.
I moved
I'll
to...
restate that for you. Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
It's been moved and seconded to table the items of business concerning the Extension Advisory Board, the Fair Board, and the Weed Advisory Board for appointments until after the hiring of a new extension agent. Discussion. I guess the only discussion I would have here, and I'll direct my comments to Mr. Prince since he made the motion, I believe the Fair Board was desiring to have these members appointed. They're actively functioning, and they're in the middle of making plans for the upcoming fair and all those activities associated with that. So personally, I don't feel as being the extension point of contact that the Fair Board is in
Dire need of
a state of whether they exist or not. There's some question of what's going to happen with the Extension Advisory Board. So my only comment there, I guess, would be that these 3 members, there's only 3 members of the Fair Board that are coming up for reappointment. They have all sent in a letter of intent, and I don't really believe there's any legitimate reason why we couldn't appoint those 3. Okay. So.
Well, I don't disagree. I'll go ahead, if I may, I'll amend the motion to include only the Extension Advisory Board and the Weed Advisory Board, and remove the Fair Board from my original motion.
All right, I'll second the amendment. Hold on just a second. It's been moved and seconded that we amend the main motion to exclude the Fair Board. Discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor of the amendment of excluding
You're
the,
gonna comment
I'll
out.
get to it, excluding the Fair Board, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Further discussion on the main motion, which states after the amendment to postpone, or actually you said table, the items of business concerning the Extension Advisory and the Weed Advisory Boards until after we hire a new extension agent. Discussion, public comment, yes, sir?
In my experience through life, and I've had a few, anytime that a board existed for any company that I was associated with, and the CEO was changed, that had nothing to do with whether the board existed or not.
Okay.
The CEO came in, he had a board already in place to advise him. I think this would be the same situation.
Yeah, you
Okay,
can
thank you,
change
sir.
it if you want.
Yes, ma'am.
My concern is on the Fair Board, it is my understanding that the bylaws has not been updated in several years, and I think this is something that needs to be addressed by the commissioners, that bylaws are brought up to date.
Okay. Points well taken. The last bylaws that were updated on the Fair Board of 2015. There is nothing in the bylaws that state how often they have to be updated. That is certainly at the prerogative of each organization or board that exists in the county. It's a little tricky thing. I've read those bylaws. They can amend or change those bylaws at any given meeting as long as they have a quorum for the Fair Board. So your comments are not falling on deaf ears. I am certainly aware of the issues that have gone on, particularly with those three organizations that are attentive to the extension.
And this is because
Program.
of issues in the
Yep.
Fair Board.
I understand that. I attended the December meeting of the Fair Board. I intend to attend the January meeting of the Fair Board. I will carry those comments along to those individuals. The other entity that is tied to extension was the 4-H Foundation. CSU has basically said that organization has been dissolved. I don't know where we're going to go with that. Because it has the name 4-H attached to it, that foundation really belongs to CSU's Extension Division and the State 4-H Council. So as of right now, it's the general understanding of everyone I've talked to that 4-H Foundation has been dissolved.
Okay, there's no board then on that.
Not on the 4-H Foundation. That's my understanding. That's CSU's understanding. And I believe there is efforts to re-establish a foundation of some sort to represent the youth in this county. It may or may not have 4-H name attached to it. But we're kind of digressing here a little bit. So further discussion on tabling the motion. Yes, ma'am.
Just a question, are these boards operating with or without a quorum if you don't make appointments today?
They would still have a quorum because there's only 3 that we're appointing for the Fair Board. Oh, the other organizations, I'm sorry. The advisory committee has not been functioning. Let me look. There would be 5.
There has not been a meeting.
1, 2, 3, 4. There's only 4 of those that are up for reappointment, so they would continue to have a quorum. Obviously, the one vacancy on that is the extension agent. So they should be able to conduct business. They haven't been, but that doesn't mean they couldn't legally get together and conduct business.
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
So, further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor of tabling the appointments of the Extension Advisory and the Weed Advisory Board, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And just a sidebar real quick, the Weed Advisory Board, since our extension agent left, just haven't functioned. They're still intact. They just have not been meeting, so we can certainly We had 2 people that were up for nominations or up for reappointments on the advisory board. We didn't get a letter of intent for either one, so just a little point of information for you there. Wetmore Community Center Board.
Are you not gonna do the fair board then?
No, sorry. We are gonna do the fair board.
Why haven't,
I tabled it and then moved on. My
since you brought up the
apologies.
weed guys aren't meeting,
They have not
they
been
need
meeting.
a CSU guy in order to feel like they can?
Not necessarily, but I think that's what they're waiting on. Yeah. I move that we reappoint Dwayne Foster, Lynetta Gilmore, and Sue Robertson for the Fair Board.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to appoint those individuals. Discussion?
We did get letters from them?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Yep, all 3. Public comment? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Let the record show Dwayne Foster, Lynetta Gilmore, and Sue Robertson have been reappointed to the Fair Board. Wetmore Community Center Library.
Want to do the center board first, then the library?
I'm sorry.
Did you want to do the center?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. Wetmore Community Center Board.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'll move that we approve Alden Gray, John Spar, Ruth Roper, Nancy Cruz,
No.
Rose Hildebar, Nan Davenport, and Margie White to the Wetmore Community Center Board for a 1-year term.
Hey, but,
Alright.
she pointed out,
Hold on, we'll get to it.
I think I just must have an updated.
well, that's
My
updated.
li-
And according to the email that, I think it was Ruth sent
Right,
us,
yes.
that instead of Margie, it's Courtney, and then, no, well, wait a
I
minute.
didn't see that.
Need to get the right one.
So,
The Heidelbaugh lady was not
Yeah.
on there.
Rose Heidelbaugh.
Yeah,
She's on the list that I have.
oh. Well, they sent an email.
Let me pull that up real quick then.
Which one's current?
I'm not sure.
Hold on just a second.
Do you need these emails?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
need to list the names because I'm confused.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and
And that's
Kelly's
who it
got a
was
separate.
last
Kelly's got a
year.
different time and who's
Well, yeah,
expired,
I
so
just
who's
printed
I must
that.
have the.
I just printed that one because
So they haven't expired?
they're all 1 year. They reappoint every year.
Okay, so
Okay.
19.
And
What's
this
the
is
date
the
on that email?
library.
Oh, that's library.
Yeah.
What's the date on the community center one? Is there a date on that email?
December 7th. So Rose is no longer on, is that correct?
As far as I know.
And, right?
Margie.
and Margie's off. And
Courtney
And Courtney is.
Davenport was added.
So these names are right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I would like
Gray,
to
Spar, Roper, Cruz.
amend my motion.
Or you can withdraw your original motion and make another one, it's up to you.
Okay, yeah, I would like to withdraw my motion and I'll reissue it.
Okay, motion's withdrawn if there's no objection.
Okay, I'd like to move then that we appoint the following individuals to the Wetmore Community Center Board for a 1-year term. Alden Gray, John Spar, Ruth Roper, Nan Davenport, Courtney Davenport, and Nancy Cruz.
Okay, Rose goes off
Rose comes off.
and Margie White goes off.
Correct.
Okay. Is that what you have, Brenda?
Yes.
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded that we add those individuals that I will name in the final stating of the motion to the Wetmore Community Center Board. Discussion? think we're good. Okay. Public comment? These names were provided by Ruth Spar, secretary, for having been indicated a desire to serve on this board. All in favor of appointing these people, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Let the record show all in gray: John Spar, Ruth Roper, Nancy Cruz, Nan Davenport, Courtney Davenport, and I guess that's it.
It's Nancy Davenport.
Pardon me? Nan Davenport and Courtney Davenport.
Right. Good.
Yeah, you need to add Courtney.
I missed Courtney. Okay.
Yep. Serve on the Wetmore Community Center Board. Wetmore Community Library Board. Ann Haywood goes off. It should be Haywood. I think it's Harwood. I thought that was Haywood.
Harwood.
Anyway, that volunteer position no longer exists, so you can scratch that.
I'll move that we appoint the following individuals to the Wetmore Community Library Board for 1-year term. Nan Davenport, Jerry Draper, Bernadette Castillo, Ruth Spar, Julie Skinner, and Joy Iden.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to appoint these individuals to the Wetmore Community Library Board. Discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Let the record show Nan Davenport, Jerry Draper, Bernadette Castillo, Ruth Spar, Julie Skinner, and Joy Iden have been appointed to the Wetmore Community Library Board.
Now, I would like to have the honor of nominating to the Affordable Housing Board, Monty Lee, Mike, was it Liebman?
Liebman.
Charles Bogle, Wilson Jarvis, Wendy Rusk, Mark Paler, Roger Camper, and Mike Carter.
Okay.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint these individuals. I need to tell you, Mark Paler has declined service on this committee. And so if you're okay, we will...
Okay, I'll amend that to not include Paler.
Okay, good. Thank you. Discussion, gentlemen. Public comment. Yes, sir.
There's been two words bandied about here all of a sudden.
Okay.
One was a board, one was a committee.
I apologize. I kind of use them interchangeably. The affordable housing is a committee to
This is a committee.
to the county commissioners.
Okay. That's what I was thinking, but
I interchange those two and probably shouldn't. Thoughts?
Just a question. I've sat as the BOCC representative to this, but I was asked by Monty Lee. He was under the impression that I'm no longer doing that. Is that? Do we know anything?
I do not know.
Okay,
All I know is
fine.
that your name was not on
I
the
just
list.
Unless you quit.
I'll quit. You could take me down fighting, but
Yeah, I don't know. Brenda, do you have background on this? The backstory? Should a commissioner be on this? Do they expect that?
I've been on it for day one.
Is that on the
I just sit
point
with
of
them and
contact
discuss it with them.
Yeah, I think it's on the point of contact.
Okay, that's fine.
Let me
I just thought maybe some change.
clarify that with you, Jay. Then,
Yeah.
because committee board, if you're a POC to a board, you shouldn't be sitting on the board and helping them make decisions. You need to be there, understand it, and then bring things to the Board of Commissioners.
I am a non-voting.
Committee is to be non-voting.
I am a non-voting representative of the Board of County Commissioners who attend the meetings.
Yeah.
And that is my entire role with all of the committees that I'm on. I don't vote on any of them.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to be careful for my own sake that we don't influence them because we're sitting there for the whole thing and not let them make, turn sausage into steaks.
Well, yeah, I guess part of my response to that, Bill, is if we are there, it's an inherent thing, whether we're influencing them or not, is, I mean,
Well, I think you should
if
go. I
we're
don't
expected
know
to
that-
be there,
if
we
there's
can't control whether or not we're influencing them. That's up to them, so.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but unfortunately, it depends on how they look at your responsibility and what you can influence. And so sometimes they're afraid to to do some things and say some things that they would as they're mixing up.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of subjective.
Right, and it's so I think as a commissioner, what I would do, personally, what I am doing is I'll stay for as long as it makes sense, and then if they need to hash things out, I don't want to sit there and have them think that because I hear what they're saying, I agree, and then therefore we're going to go out. If they, if I say something that insinuates that I think they ought to do this, and then they think, well, I really don't want to do it, but because Candace's going to be there, so I just want to be careful.
I appreciate what you're saying. I don't particularly subscribe to that necessarily. Boards that I will, or the meetings that I will attend to, I'll attend them. They can conduct their business however they want. If they look at me as an intimidator or whatever, I can't control that necessarily. If they don't want me there, then certainly don't invite us. But that's the way I look at it.
Just a point.
Yep. Okay, let's.
I wasn't using you. I was mad at Jay.
Matt, so Jay, you're okay with point of contact. You know what, gentlemen, I apologize. Wilson Jarvis also communicated to the board that he declines membership on that.
Did he
and I'm sorry.
I missed that. I know it's there, but I didn't see that he did.
So
you didn't read his name into the motion?
Didn't read it into the motion, so we're okay there. Okay, so further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote on these individuals being on the Affordable Housing Committee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed nay. Motion carries. Let the record show Monty Lee, Mike Liebman, Charles Bogle, Wendy Rusk, Roger Camper, Mike Carter have been appointed to the Affordable Housing Committee. And Jay, you are the point of contact.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just didn't know something happened that I didn't
Yeah,
know about.
I wasn't aware of that. The Enterprise Zone rep for the UAA COG revolving loan rep,
You have an updated list there?
Charles Bogle and Wendy Rusk.
I had Bogle as an alternate. Did you?
Yeah, him and Paul Winkie. Did we ever hear back from Paul Winkie? But no.
Yep.
Okay, so that was received. So I'll move that we appoint Charles Bogle and Wendy Rusk to the UAA COG revolving loan
I'll second.
board. Been moved and seconded to appoint these two individuals. Discussion. Public comment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. I'll vote aye, sorry. Opposed nay. Motion carries. According to my records, that does.
So you won't have Bogle and
There's
Wendy, no
they-
alternate?
I apologize, yes.
Bogle.
I don't get
he can't
how
be-
Bogle
he
can
can't
be on
an
it and be an alternative, but we should have included, and I'll move to accept Paul Winkie or appoint Paul Winkie as an alternate to that
Yeah,
board.
he
That
should.
was an oversight on my
Winkie's
part.
probably a mistake.
Winkie's correct.
Winkie's
Or not
correct.
Winkie, I
Bogle's
meant
it.
Bogle.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Paul Winkie as an alternate to the revolving loan rep board as well. Discussion, public comment, hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed nay. Motion carries. Paul Winkie will be an alternate to that board. Okay, very good. Yes, sir.
A request, please.
Yes.
Brenda, could you update the list? I'm not sure I got everything
Oh,
down with
she's
the
working
dates and
on it.
everything, so when you're done, would you email it to me?
Yeah, she's been
Thank
doing
you.
that for us.
Are we
absolutely.
taking Charles Bogle off as an alternate?
Well, I guess we'd have to have a
How can he be an
discussion.
alternate and a member?
Well, he can be an alternate, it's two different things.
It is?
Enterprise Zone representative is Charles Bogle. UAA COG revolving loan representative is Wendy Rusk.
Well, I thought it was both.
Okay, gotcha. So he would be an alternate to the revolving loan.
Yes,
He's on the enterprise zone.
yes.
Gotcha. A motion to that effect, then, gentlemen?
We'll have to, I so move.
I'll second.
Moving seconded to appoint Charles Bogle as an alternate to the enterprise zone as a rep. Discussion. Public comment. Thank you for holding that public comment on our ability to do the job here this morning.
Well,
All in favor,
it
say
wasn't
aye.
clear that, aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay.
Hey,
Motion
Brenda.
carries. Yeah, we need to clean just the format of that up a little bit.
Yeah,
Should be
let
two
me,
different things, really.
Let me put a line in between.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to move Kelly.
Okay. Thank you.
You want it
No,
Warm
dump
it,
that.
Dump it and new.
Yeah, because you made a new pot.
Yes,
You guys
I
want
did.
some coffee? There's more coffee.
Are we in recess?
No. That's why I didn't want to get up.
Next item of business, BOCC, point of contacts. I'm not sure, we added tourism to you in November, is that correct, Jay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think other than that, unless I'm missing something, that the list I have should be current. What's the group's
Is he
pleasure?
on the one we just made sure he was on?
Well, those will show up.
Which one did you? The affordable housing, is that?
Well, point of contact,
That he thought
yes,
he was
he's already on it.
eliminated?
He's already on it.
Okay.
Yep. What's the group's pleasure on the point of contact? So you want to discuss it first, or you want to jump in with motion? What's your pleasure?
You know, my feeling would be, unless there's some burning desire for anybody to make changes, I mean, we've all entrenched ourselves in these organizations, and unless there's a reason to change, I'm comfortable staying where we are.
I'm good with it. Plus the fact we've also added the fact that we can attend some other meetings that we.
Oh, absolutely. You
So
can
it's not-
attend any meeting anytime. Nothing is ever sacred. Saying that, I'll go ahead and make the motion, and then we could go ahead and discuss it if we need to.
Okay.
So the 2018 Board of County Commissioner point of contacts, I move that they are as follows. For Commissioner Tom Flower, IT, custodial, grounds and maintenance, buildings, resource center annex, extensions, and the Upper Arkansas Water District, and courthouse security. I'm going to take that one off because we're
Okay,
already doing
yeah,
that one.
we'll handle
Okay.
that separately, thank you.
For Commissioner Kanda, Emergency Management Office, Road and Bridge, Landfill Recycling, Veterans, and the airport. And for Prince, myself, Useful Public Service, Affordable Housing, Zoning and Planning, Human Services, Public Health, the Whitmore Community Center, Human Resources, Finance, and Tourism. And then all of us will be members of the Courthouse Security Committee.
Okay.
Did I miss anything?
No, I have a couple questions. One, I was scrambling while you were reading those. I've got the 2017 list. I'm looking for the list that's entitled the 2018.
Yeah, let me do 2 copies of
Thank
that
you.
because-
Also,
If you can
are we
bear with us
updating it
just
with
for a
what these
second,
are? Because they're not on that list, neither. The ones we just did.
These won't be point of contacts.
They're just.
These are
There are points of contacts here. I mean, he listed other things like the tourism. Oh,
Yeah, these two lists don't necessarily marry up with each other. Yeah. And while Brenda's doing that, I'm assuming, Brenda, I got off track there a little bit. Can you shoot me that 2018 list? The Wetmore Community Center Library Project, WCCLP. I'd like to discuss that a little bit. Does that need to stay in existence? Has that project been completed? Does that mean something other than truly the library project? Is it really the library board, or how's that shake out?
It's really the library board.
Okay. I wonder if we shouldn't change that then.
And I have no issue with that. They call themselves a library project, even though it's been ongoing for 20 million years. But
If
it's
that's how they
really,
refer themselves, I guess I'm okay with it. It's just a little confusing.
I agree.
They can be, that can be.
Because we've known them forever as the library board down there, or the libraries.
I always refer to them as the library board
I do
also,
too.
so
And I think that got changed when they started doing
The construction
project.
project itself, yeah.
So, I think it would make more sense to just call it the library board.
They are a board of directors for that.
Well, we appointed them or not.
We did.
Okay, so
To a
it should
board.
be a board.
I agree with you. So let's go ahead and change that. Good point.
Brenda, can you shoot that to me?
Which are,
The,
what, no, I'm
the
trying to do, like-
board appointments labeled 2018.
I have it.
I went through my board packet unless I'm just missing it.
My packet didn't have
it to
it.
you.
Which one are you?
POC.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm printing it too, so.
Thank you, ma'am, appreciate it.
Yeah, it sort of went back to the original from
Okay.
2017.
Is that you?
I just hate email.
We have a pending motion, so just waiting to get hard copy.
Is that it? Oh, she's almost as fast as the Ethernet.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that.
Thank you. So I'm gonna have.
So you're changing the community project to just the board?
I think we ought to call library board,
I'm in agreement
unless
with
anybody
that.
else has a problem with it.
Bill? You all right with that, sir?
Yes, sir. Let's
Okay.
move on.
And this is the list you just read from, Jay?
That is correct,
And you
sir.
have it 28.
The only thing I did was I changed it to WCC, library board.
Library board.
That's all I did.
Change that P to a B.
You just want to be WCCL board
Yes,
because it's community center and library.
board.
Yeah, there's two entities down there, really, isn't there?
They
Yeah.
actually are, and they really ought to be
Separate.
separate.
Okay,
We're
separate.
going to have the Wetmore Community Center Board and the Wetmore Community
Or you
Center
could say-
Library Board.
And if you're both WCC and library.
Yeah, I would be okay with
You could
slash
put
both of those.
or a land, and they
Yeah,
can
I'm
do
fine, I'm
Sure.
fine with that. Although the folks on there are different people.
They are, but our point of contact could be the same.
Put boards,
That makes sense.
make it plural.
I'm fine,
Um,
I'm fine. You're good.
Gentlemen, we in agreement that it could be the Westcliff or the Wetmore Community Center Library Board slash Wetmore Community Center
Boards.
I'm fine
Board.
with that, yes.
Wetmore
Boards,
Community
not one
Center Board. Well,
Imagine we'd have two different commissioners.
yeah, I mean, that
You just
could,
got both
but
of them.
for now, it would be just as simple, don't you think, to appoint
Sure.
one person to both of those. Further discussion,
Did you get a second on that?
you know, I may
I
not
seconded it if
have.
he didn't. Yeah, I don't think he did.
He made the motion, I did not second it, so. It's been moved and seconded to appoint or to approve the point of contacts for the Board of County Commissioners. As Jay had read, I can go through those in the final restating of the motion. Further discussion. I'm in agreement with you, Bill, or Jay, about probably not shaking up the whole thing. I mean, we've had these point of contacts for 2 months, basically, so I don't see a problem with that, maybe going another year. I just wonder if and when we're sitting in these chairs next year, if we can honestly say, you know what, I'd really like to be the point of contact for ABC or whatever.
You could say that today if you feel that way.
Yeah, I don't particularly have a strong feeling about that today because I've only been in office for a couple months.
That's my feeling too.
If I were given the choice to go through and redo this list, I would probably at some point like to have some other responsibilities as point of contact. But it's not a burning issue with me as of today. The other thing that and maybe the counselor can help us here, is the whole idea behind these point of contacts. I have had several people call me and ask me, hey, I see you're in charge of ABC. And I said, well, no, I'm not really in charge of that. I'm a commissioner, one of 3, and I'm the point of contact for that particular group or division of our county. I don't know, other than truly being a point of contact, I try not to read anything else into that.
Can I just
Certainly
read
would
the
like to have
note
a
at the
discussion.
very bottom of that? And because your point is so well taken. I'm just going to read what it says at the bottom of this list. It says, note, these designations are points of contact only. The BOCC is an elected body, and any of the 3 commissioners can be contacted by any department on any issue. And I think that's exactly right. I mean, we all have equal authority, equal responsibility, and while I'll go sit in on the Wetmore Community Center Library, when I went down there, they said you were down and discussed it, and that's great. That's what it's for.
Sure.
I mean, we all can, and you're welcome. I mean, yeah, so I mean...
Again, for the sake of conversation, because this is the only time we can legally have it.
Right.
I did a ride-along with Gary Hyde, and one of the employees that we just happened to cross paths with said, well, I thought Bill Canada was in charge of the road and bridge. I said, I think Gary Hyde's in charge of the road and bridge. I said, Bill Canada's the point of contact.
Let me give you a little historical information just for you, and please don't take this as a negative, because I really don't mean it as a negative, but prior commissioners were very protective of their areas of contact, and God forbid you step into one of their areas, you heard about it very strongly. I don't mean that as a negative. I always resented that and felt we all had the same thing.
Sure.
I would like the airport to know they can contact Bill, but if Bill's not available, contact anybody you need to, or anybody else. I mean, we're all in this together. So that had been ingrained in, you know, don't call anybody else, I'm your contact. And that's why that came back to you that way. That is out. I'm pleased it's out.
Good.
We're in this together, and tell them, no, you can call any of us at any time.
Doesn't fit in my mode of governance by any means. I mean, if we're going to be in charge, let's call this in charge. If we're going to be a point of contact, let's call it what it is and do what it says. That's the way I look at it.
And I hope that didn't come out negative
No,
for the
no,
prior
not at
commissioners.
As a matter of fact, I intentionally kept what I said up front short, but a part of our job, when we signed up to this thing, is to work for the people of this county.
Correct.
And you do that by getting to the heart of the issues, whatever they are. I view the points of contacts, if somebody asks me about CSU, and the point of contact's the guy with the most information on issues. And I'm not going to pretend I know everything, and I'm not going to let him think that I am. I'm going to say the point of contact is Tom, or the point of contact is Jay on things, and work it that way, because that's the whole point of having a point of contact, is to get engaged a little bit so you're lightening the load. Otherwise, we will all be doing each other's things, and it would be confusing to everybody in the world, you know, including us stepping on each other.
Right.
So I'm a complete agreement, because people have asked me about the fair board. You know, that's how this issue came up before when we got the fair board in, and you are the guy. You know, with issues. The dog leash thing came around, and you're grabbing that, see, and so all those things, that's what we do, and I agree. The only thing we have to be careful of is having 2 commissioners show up somewhere doing the same thing, and without a public notice and having a meeting. Otherwise, we might as well just have meetings every day, and we can't get anything done.
Right. And I think that point is extremely well taken. I think we have always, ever since I've been a commissioner, that has been up forefront. The Sunshine Law,
right,
overclouds everything we do.
Absolutely.
But saying that also, we can go have lunch and talk about our grandkids if we want. I mean, that's fine.
Just run the risk of perception, and sometimes perception is reality.
And I don't disagree with that.
And it's hard to keep convincing everybody, no, I talked about my kids. It's like Clinton saying, I just talked about golf.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith, in your legal opinion, is there an issue with, I don't intend on doing this, I'm using it for an example, Bill and I both attending the Airport Advisory Committee meeting?
No.
Or Jay and I attending Road and Bridge Safety meeting?
You're there mostly to listen
To
to your
observe.
talk, but
Exactly.
you're not making any decisions.
It really, the fine line is, are decisions being made or is discussions occurring that will lead to a decision? Is
Right.
that correct?
Right.
So
And
we
the
can
perception.
attend, more than
It
one of
can
us
be
can
risky.
attend a meeting.
Yes, you can.
Because we've all three been invited to the extension interview process on the 17th. I know Jay's going to be out of town, but man, I got to give serious thought to my job if we all three could not go
It's
to
very,
that kind
very
of
hard,
function.
and
I'm just
that's why we
not
have to be
committed.
very careful and make sure everybody understands there is a sunshine law here, and we sure don't want to be making decisions or the perception of that.
Well, it's
And we
fact
have to
finding.
be careful.
It's fact finding. You know, it's what a jury does. A jury is admonished, don't don't discuss anything leading up to a decision, but
That's
they're
right.
there to find the facts, and
Right.
you need to go where the information is.
Yeah, I guess my thought, and unfortunately part of my personality, is that I don't want to not do our job because we're afraid somebody will think we were there illegally. I could say a lot of things about my opinion about that. I'm going to keep it to myself. But you know what I'm saying? I almost feel like we're walking around with one arm behind our back if we're afraid to attend a meeting. One, because I'm interested. Two, because I want to hear what they have to say. Should not be thrown out the window because we're afraid to be seen at a meeting together. That just irritates me no end.
The cases that have actually been decided concerning open meeting laws have never been based on anything like that. It's been very flagrant violations.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Further discussion?
On this
Yeah, we have a motion still on the table because we were in the period of discussion. Public comment? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor of the point of contacts for the Board of Commissioners is printed, and I will reiterate those after the vote. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Kelly, I certainly can read through that list again if I need to. You have
I
it.
think I'm good, yeah.
So let the record show that the Board of County Commissioner point of contacts are those as printed and given to the Board Secretary. Just gets easier. Finally, we get to Custer County Kids Council.
All you
Kathy.
have to do is listen. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, come up, please. Kathy Clark, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your
What
patience.
the heck?
You remember me because we both worked at the school.
That's correct, yes. And you might want to lean on our administrative assistant and see if you can't get moved up the agenda. You might not have any luck, but you can always try.
Well, I figured.
Our attorney, Mr. Smith, you guys know each other?
No,
Yeah,
nice to
never
meet
met
you.
Kathy, is that with a C or a K?
With a K.
And a
Oh,
Y
and
or
Clark
an
with
I?
no E.
Y or an I?
Y. Yeah, I know. It's the simplest
I
name in the
almost-
world and it has a million spells.
Thank you for waiting as long as you did.
Yes, I did. wait.
Yesterday when I mentioned to Brenda, I said, maybe we could focus on a different meeting simply because I didn't want you to have to sit here for, what is it now, 3-4 hours?
I was-
She's learning.
I'm patient.
And who's keeping track, right?
I'm patient.
Yeah. Well, welcome. Thank you
Well,
for being here.
thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
And I have not been to the commissioners' meetings before, so I apologize. I probably should have had something for you before I came, but just so that you know, you're probably tired of listening. I'm giving you something so that once I leave, you'll still remember who we are, and Jay does.
While we're settling in, can you just tell me when your next meeting is? I'm sure I've got it written down.
Because I didn't know that, okay? I have my copy. I can give you my copy, which is kind of a messy one. So, yeah, I'm Kathy Clark, and I am the coordinator for Custer County Kids Council. And I know that the council came to the Board of Commissioners in the past, but since there have been changes, and all of that happened before I came on as the coordinator. So I'm going to just give you a little background on who we are. We are one of 34 councils in the state of Colorado, representing
the coordination of all early childhood services, and I will talk about the reasons behind that when I get there. But just how it sort of began was that there were several different entities in town and people who got together and recognized the need for having better coordination of these services. It's happening nationwide. In our state, there are now only 3 counties left that are not part of an early childhood council. So those folks spent some time. They visited with nearby councils. They talked about the idea of joining another council. But they really recognized that because of where we live, some of the things that are the hardest for our families and our children is access to services and to programs. And if we join Pueblo, or we join Chaffee County, or we join Huerfano, we aren't changing the dynamic for those families because those things are still all in existence in their counties. I now, because we are part of the state group, or Early Childhood Leadership Alliance, I go to those meetings and I am so recognizing that our needs as a county are very different from many others. And ultimately the decision was, we need our own council. We need services here. We need programs here. And we need the services and programs that address our needs, not the kinds of things that are needed in a lot of these large urban areas of the state. So that's kind of where we came from. On September 20th, I was hired and told, now you go to a state conference on September 21st and 22nd, so it was like jumping in both feet. I am the only paid position. I'm a part-time position. And we have a group of members, 14 members, and on the back side of the handout I gave you is a listing of our board. And I point it out because it's a huge cross-section of the different groups and agencies that serve our families and children. We have representatives from the clinic. We have representatives from mental health. We have representatives from the Department of Human Services, the school, Lighthouse Pregnancy, Excellence in Ed. And we also initially started out through a grant from the local Children's Fund. So it was the Children's Fund that kind of got things started, and then some of these people who were very dedicated put in a lot of time applying for a grant through the Office of Early Childhood in the state, and that's how we're funded at this time.
So you're funded through the state?
No, because the Children's Fund is actually not a state fund. That's a local fund. That's a grant locally. The goal is to not always be funded through the state, but the Office of Early Childhood does offer grant monies, and their monies help to pay mostly the things that are called my salary, my travel, my going to meetings. We are also seeking out other grants for providing, I guess, programs. But that's not who we are. We're not a grant writing program. We are trying to facilitate and promote the services that exist, but look for the barriers and the gaps that exist and work with all these various organizations. So the way we started out was we do promote the framework, and it's on the back of yours, but you can't read it there, so I have it here. This is the Early Childhood Colorado Framework. And when I first looked at it, and I was like, oh, it's all this, and there's a lot of words. But the fact of the matter is it's a very well organized structure. It's recognized nationwide as a kind of a really great structure for early childhood needs. And it recognizes that early childhood is so much more than just learning and development, that it's really the integration of family support and education, the health and well-being, and the learning and development of children. And that we all have a responsibility, and every county has a responsibility. The coordination and the partnership of all our groups, working together, developing the strategies so that we have outcomes that guarantee that our families have access to quality programs and that all families have access, equal access to those quality programs. I guess part of the reason I got my job was because I worked in the schools here for 8 years. I worked in the schools in Vermont for 34 years before that. so it's been a while. But I was in the preschools, I was in the kindergartens. I have to tell you, I follow these kids through because I was certified K to grade 12. And when they enter and they don't enter on equal footing, very seldom do they really truly catch up. And we have a responsibility to see that all kids come in well-nourished, healthy, having access to programs, whose, I guess their social emotional well-being is well established, and the things that we can do for that. So what we did was lots of folks before I came on had generated a list of what they thought were ideas of things that needed to happen in our county and where our needs were. So I took that list and I broke it out into the areas of family support and education, the health and well-being, and the learning and development. We had 15 people who came on a Saturday for 3 hours to hammer this out. We had people who are not on our council. We had people from the clinic and the health club and other places. And those folks were put in a lot of time. And we did develop our strategic plan, which I attached for you, so that you can see what our strategic plan is. And what the purpose of this is that this is a strategic plan to show this is what we intend to do between now and June 30th, so that we can show our grant funders that we're serious, that we are making a difference. And I'm in the process of even reporting to the state right now on our progress in those areas. So I guess I would say, why is it even important that you have these kinds of things? 95% of brain development happens before the age of 5. Waiting until kids get into school is too late. In fact, 75% takes place by age 3. If a child comes into school and they are hungry, dirty, and they have had very little exposure, are they even ready to learn? We talk about the problems that we have with drug abuse later on. We talk about the problems that we have attracting people to our community who are going to raise these wonderful, healthy families. And yet, if we don't have the services for them, they're not going to be here. So it's actually being shown throughout the nation that counties that support early childhood, a systemic early childhood programs, a series of them, not just education, but the integration of all those needs, they are counties that flourish, they are counties that prosper, they are counties that are, I guess I would say, stable, and that socially they are in a better place. So I promote it from that standpoint. Here locally, it's kind of a sad state of affairs, but nationally and even statewide, the poverty rate for young children, for children living in poverty, is actually declining. Not dramatically, but it is. In Custer County, it's increasing. In the last 5 years, 40 to 50% of our children in school qualify for free and reduced lunch. I have been to the sharing center. They would say that between 35 and 50 of the people that they are serving per week at the sharing center are children. Not children under 8, but children under 17. And right now, we even have 2 licensed daycare providers and a licensed preschool, and their slots are not filled, not because we don't have the children, but because we need to get to the people that don't realize the need for it, the ones who can't afford to do it, and make them recognize that there are services available for that. And we all need to be working together. So we just want kind of a county support that says we all support our youth, and we see the value of starting at the bottom. Because if we want to bridge the gaps of what happens later on to these kids in life, the place to start is here. By the time a child is about 9 years old, patterns are set, and not a whole lot's going to change for them. But a kid that can go into school and really truly believe, I'm on equal footing, I can do this, they can succeed in life. So what we want are healthy, thriving children who can succeed in school and in life. So basically that is our plan. Since we initiated it in it was actually November, we had started some of these before. So in addition to having that, I just want you to know a couple of things that have occurred, and they're on the bottom of your list. The clinic, and the Department of Human Services and our group met, and we met with a nurse from the Nurse Family Partnership and Valley-Wide Health Systems. This is a program that can bring services directly into the home of first-time pregnant moms. We are also coordinating and have spoken with our local dentist as a provider, and we are hoping to begin to initiate having some things happen at our local health fair for younger people, and also our spring preschool screening around oral care. And I'm actually have been invited to attend the planning of the health fair this year for that purpose. We've developed a family health survey that we hope to be getting out into the community in February, and we're going to do it through every means we can find. So we, anything that anyone can do to help encourage young families to participate in that survey. We need to know what they see as their greatest needs and challenges and barriers. And we are hoping to go to everyone, the churches and anyone who might have contact with these families. We have been meeting with school staff about their school readiness plan and about just scores of children and what we can do to help work with them. And I have agreed to act as the liaison between the school and the daycare providers because there hasn't really been that kind of communication in the past. I have monthly contacts with these child care providers now. In conjunction with Colorado Shines, which is the state program, we've begun to hopefully be able to provide some locally approved training for some of our providers so that they don't always have to go to Pueblo or somewhere to get their training for things that can happen here. And we now have 2 programs for parent education that we're trying to get initiated. One is Birth to 3, which is happening through Lighthouse, and another is a monthly preschool parent support meeting at the school that the Sol Vista counselor is doing. So we're trying to get things in place that are moving us forward.
Wait, for starting in October, you've done
So that's what we're trying to do. And Jay is one of our supporters, so he's on that list.
Unfortunately, there was a period of time where I had refocused my direction, but I still come to your meetings.
Yes, and it's been
assist
wonderful.
whenever I can. I never say I'm going to speak for my fellow commissioners, but I'm going to say it right now because I know this. We obviously all support anything we could do to help our children get the best start that they can. So yes, I'm speaking for them, and heaven forbid they say, no, that's not going to happen. Okay, so my real question to you is, what can we, as a Board of County Commissioners, do to help you facilitate this? Because I think your program to help our youth, our young group, our really young group, get the best head start they can. What can we as a group do to help you?
I think through the contacts that you have, through what happens, through promotion, I would love it if this could get posted somewhere in this building that would be appropriate, just as a start. My goal is to get this in the library, to get this in the clinic, to get it here, so that eventually people begin to see it from multiple perspectives.
Well, where do people go if they have questions? Where do you have an area? If there's a family out there, and I'm traveling around and I see it, I'll say, why don't you go to 2nd and Main and find out?
Okay, we do not have a location. However, actually the only point of contact, not like you, for us right now is our Custer County ECC at gmail.com, and that's my email. We are in the process. We just put out our RFPs for a website, and we will have our information up there. Just so you know, we are also now in January, this next week I will be going to the state again, and at the state level they're putting out their website for all of it, and Custer County is there, and our information will be there. So it's my phone number, and all that will end up being put out.
Do you integrate with Laura Lockhart?
Yes.
She's on their board.
Does she have, I know that. Does she have that hanging in her office?
Well, that's what I'm thinking, is that might be the best place. Laura and I are actually meeting again on Friday, so yes. And that's part of my job, is to meet with a lot of these different people on a fairly regular basis. I will be back to the library on Friday. I'll be back with Laura on Friday. I met with Children's Health Fund again last week, so that's kind of my role in this.
I know from experience many grants ask for some kind of backing by the local authority, the Board of County Commissioners, not in a financial statement saying that we adopt and support this project. And I would strongly encourage you, if any of the grants that you're asking for require that, to please come and ask for a letter of support from us.
Well, one of the things that that is required is that we have to have a local government agency or representative as one of our members or on our board. So that's why we are often looking for that sort of thing. One of the really exciting that we are hoping at our next meeting is coming up Thursday night, to have a memorandum of understanding with the Wet Mountain Valley Community Foundation. They've been wonderful in terms of being supportive with us, that we can begin to operate through them and under a 501c3, so which will open up more grant opportunities for us to be able to list it. The monies would channel to them, but ultimately to us. And so, we are eternally grateful to them for that. So yes, but any support that could be out there. And yes, I would like my ultimate dream down the road. I just would like to see this be able to get going. We have 3 years from the state. It won't fund us totally by a long shot. But if we show that we're doing what we say we're promising to do, I think we can keep that going for that time. It looks like we may have a grant from El Pomar that may come our way this spring. We're hoping for that one. We just have wonderful people on our council who are stepping up to the plate in so many ways.
Working with the 2 newspapers to get the word out?
The word will be going out in the 2 newspapers. I've been behind holding off until we actually had our strategic plan in place, until it had been accepted by our council, until I was able to kind of bring information here. And yes, there will be things going through the newspaper, but I will be perfectly blunt about one of our biggest challenges is that a lot of the people and families that we most need to reach are not going to necessarily be reached through the newspapers, and we are so well aware of that. And that's part of what our February survey is about. And part of that is going to be seeing how many responses we can get to it and figuring out where those responses come from. In other words, where are the best targets for getting the word out to many, many people.
Well, I'd just like to say that certain that the Board of County Commissioners support your project and come talk to us with needs that you have, and we'll look at it closely and see what we can do.
Okay.
You want to make that a resolution so we all support it?
Well,
in the minutes, that's a ways forward.
If we do a resolution, then we have to write it and adopt it and all that stuff. I just think, we could just make a policy statement that we as Board of County Commissioners care very much about our youth, especially our developing early childhood youth, and that we support the project to help educate them as best as we can and help their care providers, their parents, get whatever resources are available to them.
And I will just say that it says prenatal to age 8, the reasoning behind that being that a healthy mom delivers a healthy baby. And then the reason going up to age 8, there was a time when early childhood was thought to be up to age 5, but the recognition is that those supports need to remain in place through about age 8 if you really want to make a difference in their lives. And that kids that are succeeding by the time they are in 4th grade typically continue to succeed. Kids that are struggling by the time they're in 4th grade typically, not all, but typically tend to continue to struggle.
Do you have an idea roughly what the numbers of kids there are or families?
That's one of our dilemmas. We have numbers that come from a variety of state sources, and our county typically is supposed, for kids age 8 and below, is around 200 to 250. We question that a little bit. We have many families that possibly don't get registered. Keep in mind the fact we have no local hospital where births take place. Our births take place in a variety of places as families move in. And one of the things we're looking at is how can we better track that ourselves? How can we make sure that we know and we get information from the hospitals when 81252 zip code comes up? And through working, that's part of the job in working with Department of Human Services too, as families come in. How does the word get out to those families that, here are contacts? Ultimately, we hope to be able to be kind of a central point for keeping
And
getting that
plan, of course,
information.
is for the entire community, including our Amish community.
Exactly.
And our Mennonite community.
Exactly.
Everybody else.
And that's one of our big goals. Yes, and in fact, that's one of the things that came up and is part of what our strategic plan is addressing as well. Thank you for the time,
Yeah,
and I
you're
thank you a
welcome.
lot.
Thank you.
And
Good luck. Now, you have a meeting on the 10th, I see, down in the 4th building.
I have a meeting on the 10th. My meeting on the 10th is with Children's Fund. Our 11th is we have a meeting at the school. 5:30 at the school. And yes, we do invite folks to attend those meetings. Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. I will try to make your meeting on the 11th.
That would be wonderful.
All right.
We're at the school, Jay, do you know?
It's in the library. And sometimes you gotta bang on the door because of security. They come let you in.
And that's at 5:30.
Yes.
How long has that kid council been in existence, do you know?
Since October.
The state recognizes us as having started October 1st. However, the people that started working on this project probably began around February of this past year. And it was September before things were finally approved enough that they were able to hire me at the end of September.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Miss Gady?
Yes.
The EMPG grant, is that
Tomorrow, I believe.
on the schedule for tomorrow? I just didn't want to get that because I did not have it here. Mr. Prince had requested to add an agenda item at the beginning of the meeting, and I'd like to move that to that under new business. So with that, Jay, I would let you address the board and the audience, if you would, please.
Thank you. I would like to propose that we adopt January 31st as Ben Rusher Day and pass a resolution to that effect for his heroism and his acts of kindness by giving up his life in attempts to save his brother. And it was such an unselfish act and such a wonderful long-term family here. I think the county I think it would behoove us to recognize Ben Rusher Day on January 31st, 2018.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other backstory you want to share? Or I've spoken with Mr. Rusher about this. Through a tearful conversation, he sincerely appreciated the idea. It was hard to have that conversation with him, but...
Yeah, I've spoken to him also. The Sheriff's Department is working on a recognition from the state level, but I think the county ought to do something, and this is what I've come up with.
Okay. Would this be separate from any efforts from the Sheriff's Department, Carnegie Foundation?
Yeah.
I would tie those all together, or what you think?
I think the county should just do its own thing.
Yeah.
Name a Ben Rusher Day and sign a resolution for his unbelievable act of bravery. I think we should do that.
Okay.
So, with that said, I would like to make a motion, or I move, that we name January 31st, 2018 Ben Rusher Day, maybe Ben Rusher Memorial Day, and ask our wonderful attorney to write a resolution to such effect for his unselfish bravery that he exhibited.
I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded that we select January 31st as the Ben Rusher Memorial Day, or day as Councilor sees fit. Discussion.
Any issues? How do you write that?
Well, it actually should be a proclamation
Yeah.
rather than a resolution.
And you're right,
That's right.
I said it wrong. It should be a proclamation. Amen. Thank you.
And only because the administrative assistant usually does the proclamations. I'd be happy to do it,
You can help her.
but I need a whole lot more information as to particulars.
I'll even write it if you like.
Well, and I'd be happy to work on it with you, but we can do it as a proclamation.
Which do you feel would be most appropriate as far as the name? Ben Rusher Day, Ben Rusher Memorial Day, you have a feeling about that? I know we're kind of on the front end of this thing, but
I don't know right now. I guess we'd have to kind of discuss what we want
Yeah,
to
you
call
can come
it.
up with a good
Honorary
proclamation, recognition for the Ben
Right.
Rusher Selfless Act Day.
Proclamation designating January 31st as Ben Rusher Day.
okay. And would we like to have this brought back before the commission at, obviously, a meeting prior to the 31st?
Right.
Be the 24th, I guess.
On the 24th, we can read it, approve it, make whatever changes, and
Is that enough time to get it in the papers?
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's any chance we could hammer that out for tomorrow so that we do have some lead time.
I can start on it and then send it to y'all, and if you all want to give me your input, then I could probably have it ready for
that'd be great.
I'm certainly comfortable with, if you and Jay or you and Clint want to deal with that, I would certainly accept whatever come across the desk.
Well, if you can get something to me, I'll certainly work on it. I have to go to Pueblo this afternoon for a while, but
As far as the papers go, if you approve it on the 24th, it'd be hard to get it in on that Thursday and Friday. That's a Wednesday.
Right.
Before the 31st, unless we could have the wording all ahead of time, and they could, have it ready to put in the paper.
Well, I'd really, because of what we're just talking about, the time frame, is like to get it done tomorrow if possible, not only for the papers, but word of mouth and just to get the general concept in the community. I hate to say this, and I shouldn't, I don't think everybody reads the papers, but, at least if we could get it hammered out tomorrow, it gives us more than 1 or 2 days to get the quote word out, is my thinking there.
I know we can include it on the Tribune Facebook page too, at any time.
So,
Might want to go to KRZ too, the radio station.
Okay.
Sure.
And is there a plan, are you gonna have a plaque and present to the I mean, is there a plan? I don't need
Well,
to
I
know what the
think
plan
yeah.
is, but y'all need to know what
Right,
the plan
yeah.
is.
No, I don't think there is right now, because Jay just brought this to us this morning.
Right.
I mean, obviously, he alerted me in enough time to make sure that the Rusher family was on board with it, but no, there has not been a plan. Your point's well taken, I think.
Plaque would be
In this situation, I think probably 2 plaques would be in order,
That's what you
one
would
for
have
each
to, I was
parent.
gonna say, we'd have to do 2 of them if we're gonna do it.
it would be on parchment with the frame is what we generally do
That's
that.
a very good way to do it.
So, I know it's a little short notice, but I think it would benefit the community greater if we can get going on it as soon as possible, rather than waiting till the 24th. Thank you, sir, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Geez, were we in discussion or did we vote, Kelly? On
No, you're ready to.
In discussion.
Thought we were. Public comment?
I agree. I've known both those young men since almost birth, and I know how good they were.
My son was best friends with Ben, so
Okay.
I think it's
Well, thank you, Jay, for bringing that to the commission. Appreciate that. Any further comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of proclaiming January 31, 2018 as Ben Rusher Day, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Let the record show that that proclamation will be forthcoming. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
I have two other issues I probably should have mentioned. The first is Dennis Hunt, who is one of the smartest people I've ever met when it comes to commissioners, commissioning, laws, the Colorado Revised statutes on what commissioners can do and can't do. Met with the BOCC multiple times last year. He is just a voluminous wealth of information. I mentioned his name to you before. I've been in contact with him, and he has volunteered to come down to meet with us. And I suggested maybe the first couple weeks of February, and I was wondering if you would like me to invite him down for, and this would be a workshop, so it'd be open to the public and anybody else who would like to come, for him to just do some informational discussions about what commissioning is, if that's a word, and what our real duties and responsibilities are. He's just a wealth of information and a really nice guy.
Good idea.
So if you guys would like to pick a day, I'd love to do it. Let's see.
February 5 looks good for me.
February 5?
12.
Okay, February 5 is a planning and zoning committee at 2:30. Why don't I ask him to come in the morning at 10 o'clock, if that would be acceptable? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so it'd be February 5 at 10 o'clock.
10 a.m. you said?
Yes. And that's open to anybody who wants to come.
And the zoning is at
Zoning and planning is at 2:30.
2:30. I don't know why I thought it was at 1. So.
What was his name?
Dennis Hunt.
Dennis Hunt.
Dennis
Hunt.
You're gonna like him. You're gonna go.
Coming down from,
He's in Denver,
okay,
and he's employed by CTSI, which is our insurance company, and he's dynamite. I just
10:30.
think the world of him.
10.
I put
Or
him down.
10,
I
sorry.
put him down at 10,
10.
but I could do whatever you
no,
want.
10's fine.
All right, 10 o'clock. Let's do that. Okay. If I can bring up one last item,
4 hours may not be enough.
sir.
4 hours for him to talk may not be enough.
No, he's a very good. So we invited him down when we were starting the budget process because we had 3 commissioners that really didn't know what they were doing. Not that we do today, but not that I know today. But anyway, he came down and walked us through the process, helped us immensely, told us how to do it, gave us the governmental timelines. He's just a voluminous wealth of terrific information. I will contact him.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and the other thing I would like to just bring up, I've been in contact with Mr. Vogel. The Custer County Economic Development Corporation would like to set a workshop to kind of just bring the BOCC up to speed on all the things that they're involved in, because there is a lot more than just broadband.
No way.
I promise. So at any rate, I suggested, although I think Brenda told me it may not work, I suggested maybe after our BOCC meeting on the 31st of January. However, we have the underfunded courthouse meeting at 2:30, so that may not be a good day.
I have that at 1:30. Brenda, is that a conflict or misinformation? Is it 1:30 or 2:30, the courthouse security
It's
meeting?
1:30.
Thank you.
On which day?
January 31st.
Thank
It's
you.
courthouse,
That's the security.
Yeah, I see okay. So that probably is not gonna be a great day to do that, because I wanna give them enough time to do whatever they need to do. So if we can pick a time that we wanna do that, or, we could also do it as part of just a regular BOCC meeting and, allot 30 minutes, because I know Charles can know too.
No, if it's a workshop, we need time, I think.
well, you think it needs to be a workshop or?
That's what he called it.
Do you want a workshop? Or is that something during a meeting you could just kind of get us up to date on what's going on?
Typically, during the normal meeting, you don't have time, we don't have time to get into it as far as.
So you'd rather do
what
it as
we're
a workshop?
suggesting.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, if you would entertain that, I would think it's a great idea.
Certainly, I don't have an issue with that, just a matter of scheduling.
Sure.
The first, we have 8 emergency services meeting in Pueblo from 8:30 to 12:30, so I think it'd be a stretch to get back. And Mr. Canada, do you have a recommendation for a date? Would you prefer January, February?
I think we're gonna get pushed into February.
I guess, the sooner the better.
Okay.
Yeah. What are we doing now?
About Thursday or
Thursday,
Friday?
the 18th.
Well, I'm going to be out of town.
Oh, that's right, sorry.
Maybe the 25th or 26th? Or the 22nd, 23rd? Or?
25th and 6th, they're having CCI monthly meetings in Denver. I was going to try to get to those. I don't have to make the January one, but
Monday the 22nd? Oh, Tuesday the 23rd?
yeah, the 22nd, I'm meeting
About
with,
22nd of January,
Yeah.
I'll be out of state.
Well, good, now we really want it that day. It'll get over quickly.
You can beat up on the other guys.
It'll get over quickly.
When you coming back?
I'll be back on, I'll be available on the 25th.
Okay.
The 25th in the morning.
yeah, have you attended any of those monthly meetings, CCI meetings?
I have never attended them, although I have read the minutes from them, and they're pretty boring.
What about the 29th?
I'm fine with the
Is there a
29th.
conflict on that?
I can do the 29th.
29th work?
Monday the 29th, that'll work.
Okay, I'll make it at 10 o'clock. Would that work for everybody?
Works for me.
Okay, great.
Block out a couple hours. Is that sufficient, 10 to noon?
That should be more than
Thank you.
adequate.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it as a workshop, and we'll open it to the public, Miss Brenda, if you don't
Yep.
mind. Thank you. And, Mr. Chairman, that is all I have. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for bringing those to us. Mr. Canada, anything? Public comment. Anything from anybody? Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. I know it's been a long meeting. We knew it was going to be. We're 20 minutes or 10 minutes behind schedule for another meeting. So thank you for your time, commitment to come in and sit on the board meetings. You're welcome anytime. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I have moved to adjourn this meeting.
I'll second the motion. Sorry, there's no discussion. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Meeting